Guys, user-defined functions is something that has been released to us. I just saw this yesterday from a post from Matthew Devani, where he talked about user-defined functions. And what we're going to need to do is use the very latest version. Now, we've got named formulas. We've had named formulas for a while, but now we can create our own user-defined functions. How excited are you, Kurt, about this? Or like, how does that change anything as you're developing apps? Is this a big deal or?
It changes everything. I don't even know where to start with that, but I guess my whole view of Power Apps, and we talked about this when they came up with the name formulas, that it was a good try, but it wasn't even close to user-defined functions yet. But it was a step in the right direction, and we thought that meant that's what's coming next. And guess what? Here it is, right? So we have parameterized user-defined functions, and I always thought Power Apps. When you first introduced me to it, I thought it was a toy language. I thought it was a joke, and I was having a very hard time accepting it. And I started liking it better, but I always felt like for it to be a real language, user-defined functions have to be there, and it's here now. So I kind of feel like back in the days with Visual Basic, when you had 3.0, we thought Visual Basic was a toy language, and then when it came out 4.0, it was something that was beautiful. And I really feel like this is the equivalent of Visual Basic 4.0 now. Power Apps is on its way up, man.
Yeah, guys, if you have any background whatsoever in software development or coding, you've always had some way to create a function or a subroutine or something like this. This is like this is huge, guys. This is really big deal. So
yeah, we're doing real programming now.
Yeah. So Kurt, I would love for you to just throw out some idea. Now we're going to run through a sample here, but just throw out ideas. Like I've been using Power Apps so long. I guess if there's something that needs to run several times in your application, instead of having that block of code in 5 times in your application, you define it once and then you call it, right?
Right. So that's a whole, I think what we should do is let's get this thing set up so that it can receive user-defined functions. Let's start there. And then I think we should talk about what is a user-defined function. And then we talk about why do we even put them in there? Why do we care? And then maybe we can come up with some really cool ideas to make our user-defined function so it'll work. What do you think?
Absolutely.
And remember, people pay big money for this. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. This is the way my life's going to be.
When you were teaching me at the community college, you would say that, and that meant it was going to be on the exam, and also people pay big money for this out in the real world.
Yeah, this is a game changer, right? But you got to do a couple of hoops. You got to jump through a couple of hoops here to make sure that you can even see these user-defined functions. Some of the people that are watching this right now, they're probably over there looking, oh, how do I get this? And then they can't even figure it out. So why don't you show them how to do it, Darren?
Yeah, very good. So the first thing that you want to do, I'm going to back completely out. I started a new project. I've already got some measles here. Create a new project, go into settings, and we'll go down to support. You want to make sure that at least this week, that you're using the absolute latest version. So yesterday, Kurt, when we were looking at this, I believe the last 2 digits were 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they've already created a new version. And I would have to say, so this is right now, it's an experimental feature. And it does feel like an experimental feature. Well, the problem that I'm having right now, Kurt, and maybe you've experienced it, I'm sure you've been playing around with this. So I'll select the very latest version. So guys, the latest version, now I do have the version where it was actually released in. Okay, so I'm gonna put that on the screen here so you guys can see it. And I want to put it on the screen because people may not be watching this live here, right? So I'm gonna show this on the screen, this comment.
Okay.
So that's what it was yesterday when we were playing around with it. So 24013. So we've gone up 4 versions since yesterday.
Yep.
What does that tell you?
They're working on it.
Yeah. Okay. So my current authoring version is that latest version. Okay. So I'm going to hit cancel. What I'm finding is as I'm working with this, it will revert to the stable recommended version.
Yep.
And it's very frustrating. Have you noticed that at all yet?
Yeah, it took me a couple of times to go through to make it stick. You had to do it like 2 times.
So that version number, guys, I have up on the screen, you want to make sure right now it's the last 2 digits are 14. Make sure it's at least that version or higher. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to release that. And I see you guys in chat. Thanks for joining us today, guys. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. So now that I've done that, you want to go to upcoming features. Okay. As of today, I could just scroll all the way down and look, user-defined functions. User-defined functions, UDFs, are named formulas with parameters for logic reuse. Okay. So it may not always be an experimental. So just type in functions and that should bring it right up. Okay. A full page refresh is needed to apply this changes. Now, this is the point where I think it sort of like kicks me back to a previous version sometimes. Now, something else that you'll notice is there's another feature
Right.
that you may need to enable. And that one has got the word engine in it. Okay. New analysis engine enables new analysis engine, which improve the authoring performance. I don't know why you wouldn't turn that on besides the fact that it's experimental, but that feature for user-defined functions requires this feature to be turned on. Okay. So I think we're set up. So I'm going to click close.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to hit save. All right. So over here on apps, I'm going to expand app just to see what, oh yeah, we just have the host there. So here's the app object, and we'll go into formulas. And I should have zoomed in here.
Now, Darren, I got a question before we go to that.
Sure.
I thought when I clicked on that, maybe everybody else is thinking that too, but maybe you're not doing it. So maybe not. You don't have to exit this program and go back in because it's talking like you want to do it. I thought when it says you got to do a page refresh, that's what it meant. That's not what it means, though, huh?
Oh, that might be it. So look, I'm just going to take one look at this, make sure that I'm still on the version I'm expecting. Okay. So it's at 1314. That looks good. Okay. So you're saying so I'm going to back out.
I thought that's what it meant we had to do. So I could have been wrong on that.
No, maybe that's the reason I was having problems with it.
Well,
was that I wasn't doing that. So maybe that's the case.
Maybe.
You may have saved me there, Kurt.
I still had to do it like 2 times, even doing that. So
yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Now once this becomes a little more stable, we'll probably create a new video that will go over this more streamlined where we're not struggling with all this stuff, you know.
Go check your version real quick. Make sure you're on the right one. See, because the last time for me, it wouldn't take it until I did it twice. Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah. So now go do it again.
Oh my goodness.
And then hit the click. Yep. And reload it. And then go back and leave again and come back in.
It seemed like it kicked me out.
It did, didn't it? It seemed like it took that time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That might be the page refresh, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be okay now.
Okay. So let's go back in here and check this out.
Come on.
1314.
Yay.
Chew.
Okay. Now I think you're ready to go.
Now, do we have these? Okay. User defined. Okay.
Yeah. Make sure you check that other one too. Make sure that other one's on there too. That's a good point.
1314. Okay. I'm going to type in engine.
So again, everybody, you might have to go through this process 2 times for it to take. I don't know if it's a propagation error issue, or if that you got to wait a little longer, or if it's a bug. Maybe it's a bug.
Microsoft sorcery is what I call it.
Microsoft sorcery. You got to get up and you got to circle your chair. You got to walk around your chair 3 times counterclockwise, and then that'll make it work.
Okay, so this is essentially what I was playing around with. Now, that's not how you do name formulas. I'm just going to comment this out. Kurt, you want to step me through doing a simple user-defined function? You got one in mind for me?
Well, we got one sitting right there. Let's just do a who's the man. Let's do a who's the man.
So I've got this code was meant for my button, because Kurt and I we were playing around here. I'm just going to cut that out. I don't need that.
We don't need all that.
In the button, I'm going to call it. Okay. I want to call a function.
Yep.
And give it 2 strings and a random number. Now, Kurt, why would we want to pass in a random number?
Because that random number is going to determine, it's going to go out there and it's going to go look and see who's better, me or you. And it's going to bring it back. That's what's going to happen. So let's go do that. Let's go.
So we're going to generate a random number, 1 to 100.
Yep, that's right.
And then based on the number, let's say if it's under 50, it's you. If it's over 50, it's me. And if it's exactly 50, it will be Amber.
Yep, that's what we do. Come on, let's go make it happen. Let's go make it happen.
All right. So how do we do this?
So let's go. Well, first thing, we're going to create the name, right? FX. You go ahead. You know how to do this.
You're not gonna help me out here, Kurt?
Sure, I am.
All right. So we're gonna call the. Okay, let me go get the name of
FX,
this.
Who's the man?
Who's the man? Now,
I like your prefix of calling that FX. I like that. I like that FX.
Now, why do you like it?
Because it tells you it's a user-defined function. Well, it tells you it's a function. Okay. But we know that it's a user-defined function, right? Because, you got the FX, that's the formula, and that's the language, right, that we're using, FX. So,
PowerFX.
Yeah, PowerFX.
And something else I think is great. Let's say you're in a button, you're trying to call one of these user-defined functions, or, you've got a property you want to be dynamic. Anything that you define here in the app.formulas, it's my recommendation that you always start it with a prefix like FX. So I know that I've created something here. It's defined in the formulas.
Yeah.
So as you're typing in the code, you hit FX. Hopefully you'll get like all the list of everything that you have access to in the formulas.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's set up these parameters here. So next what we're going to do now is we got 3 parameters. So we've got to set up these 3. Now, in the call, we did the call first, but we'll go back to the call in a minute. We know that there's 3 parameters. So what we want to do is that I want to name these so that you can know that this is going to be any value that you put in there, it's going to take it. So let's create one called any text. Any text or any name.
Any text. Name. Okay.
Sure. Any name, and we're going to give it a type, right? And that's going to be text. Now, I can't remember the syntax. Was it
maybe it's a colon. Look at that.
It was a colon.
These are all the types of values that you can define as a parameter or an argument being passed in.
And we probably should call it any name 1 and any name 2, right?
Okay. Because we can't, and you probably said that, because we can't have 2 parameters with the same name. Those parameters essentially become like little variables inside of our function.
They are variable. They are absolutely variables. They actually create at this point. Now it's not, I don't think it's referential. I think they're value variables. So that just means it's going to be pointing. It's going to create a copy. It's going to create a copy of that variable that you bring into it, right? It's a value parameter.
We could go down a rabbit trail on what you just said.
And we will.
Perhaps many people didn't catch that sentence that you said, that the thing that you said out there. That's a
okay. Let me just say this, because we are creating the parameter, right? So so you saw the call, and what happens is we got a call out there that's going to be a person's name, right? It could be any text, but it's going to be a person's name in our case. And so what it does is it's going to actually take the contents of that memory location that's sitting in, and it might just be the CPU's register at that point, because it could be a string literal, and you're going to put that copy of that contents into this. So it makes a copy of that. It doesn't. So now you go in here, and if your function somehow changes this, these values, if they change any name one, when the function's done, it's going to go back to the old value, because it's just a copy of it. It's not a reference to the location.
So Kurt, when you taught me Visual Basic, there were two different ways we could pass in a parameter: by reference or by value. Now let's take it back to some other languages here. Tell me, maybe C++, you would pass a value in, or you could pass the pointer to it, right?
Yep.
So in this case, it's passing a copy. And there's another thing called by reference, which would be a pointer to it, like to the memory location. Okay. What are the difference between the two? Well, if you passed it in as a reference, that means that function could change the value.
That's right.
But if you just pass on a copy, that means it's not going to change anything. So just sort of that distinction, guys, what you get from this YouTube channel or content that me and Kurt provide, we're teaching you coding and programming concepts that would apply to any language. So I think maybe one of our accelerator students told us just this week, they were in I believe they're in a computer science degree program, and they're taking some programming classes. Like, I already know all this stuff from Kurt and Darren.
Amber's over here going, very true. Yeah. So, right. And that's what I was trying to say was just to kind of, so that people don't get confused in that. You're bringing in a value parameter. And that's what this is at this point. I don't know if PowerApps is ever going to give us an opportunity to do a reference. When you say a reference to a location, that means it's actually bringing in the location. So that way, if you make any changes in there, it's going to actually change the values that are in there. But when you're doing a value parameter, it just says, hey, go make a copy of that during the time that this function is running. And when it's done, go back. Now, Darren, what's the whole point of writing a function? What is the whole purpose of a function in its literal sense when we're talking about fundamental programming?
To return a value.
To return a value. One value. So we're going to do all this stuff. Now, that value might be null. That value might be nothing, but it's going to return that. So yeah. That's the whole point. This goes way back in the days of the Greeks, and back with the abacuses. Would that be abacusi? The abacus. There's nothing new under the sun here. When these mathematicians back in the old days, they didn't want to have to write all this crazy stuff every time they wanted to reference it. So they called it a function, and that function, it says, go out there and do all this crazy stuff and bring back this one value, because that's all I care about. So that's what we're doing here in programming. We're going to go out here and do all this crazy stuff. And I got some things I want to talk about with this in a little bit, but I really want us to just see like what we're doing right now, an example of that, but it kind of talk about it along the way here. So we are creating this function out here that goes way back to the old days, and it's the same principle. We're going to go out here, we're going to go do some stuff, and then we're going to return one value. And that is so important in programming. So we have right now, he's got any name 1 and any name 2. And this is going to go right down our parameter list. And then, of course, you see he's got a random number. He's called it random number. And he's going to make that a number, right? So.
Okay, so we don't have, notice that we don't have integer, decimal. So it's just number. Numbers can be all kinds of different forms. But, hey, we're at PowerFX world here, and we got to work with their type. So we have a number, and let's just trust that the number can handle any type of number, Yeah,
at this point, right? So now that the rest of this, now the syntax, I can't remember. Was there a colon here? Yeah.
Can you tell us what goes after this colon? What is this about?
So now this is going to be the return type. This is what it's going to return. Remember, Darren said that the whole job of a function is to return a value. So those parameters, it says we're going to go do a function with all the stuff that we're bringing in with it, and then we're going to return a value. But we got to tell what to return. So it's going to return. We got to tell it the type. What is the package that we're going to be sending this value back in? And we're going to send it in this case, we're going to send it in as text.
Okay. So I'm going to pick text here.
Because what we're going to do, this function is going to determine whose demand. And it's going to be based on some really complicated stuff. We're going to go out and look at all of Darren's qualities and all of Kurt's qualities, and we're going to determine who's better in the moment.
All right. So how are we going to figure this out, Kurt? Should we do a switch statement or an if or a loop? What should we do here to figure out whose demand?
So I don't know what your rules are on this, but to me it's arbitrary. But I like the idea of doing it in an if. But you know what? Just for the syntax, because we don't use switch very often, and we might do something different down the road with this function. Let's try it with a switch. How would you do that with a switch, Darren?
I'll do a switch. Okay. Which is like a complicated if statement, right?
Yeah, usually like my rule is if we do more than two ifs, if you got to do more than two nested ifs, do a switch,
Okay.
But in our case, this is really a simple thing, but I didn't know if you wanted to try the archaic switch way or.
No, I think this is good because we can make this more and more complicated, or we could add all kinds of different values in here, right?
Yeah.
So we got 3 parameters being passed in, and I want to look at this random number. So that's what I'm going to look at. If this random number, okay, I'm sorry, not Darren, no.
Yeah, if it's less than 50, right?
Okay. Let's okay, so for the switch,
you almost got to have a
we
value.
would compare this to some other value.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I almost feel like, so if we were doing if, okay, I could say if the random number, well, of course I got to spell if, right? It's a lowercase.
That's important.
So if that random number is below 100, then I'm gonna return Kurt.
Below 50.
Below 50. If you're below 50. Otherwise, if it, I'm gonna take this whole line here. Oh, my brain's not on yet, Kurt.
That's okay. You're doing a lot of driving and stuff. Let me.
I've got some brain fog going on. Maybe I need to go get my Red Bull.
and then if it's 50, we want it to be Ammer.
That's right. So what I'm going to do here, if it's over 50, then we're going to do Darren. Now, if it is 50.
Now, see, I love the way you did that. If I want to talk about this for just a second, guys.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Darren, this is proof that Darren actually listened to me. Sometimes I feel like he listens to hears every third word I say. But when I was teaching back in, I would always make sure the biggest thing I hope that I can express to you guys is that it's so important to have control over your program. If I can't teach anything else, it's that you must have control of your program at all times. And what he has right here, he's got a perfect scenario where he says, look, if this thing is less than 50, I'm not even going to go any farther. I'm going to hit Kurt and it's going to go out. But if it's not, then I'm going to go check and see if it's greater than 50. And if it is, then I'm going to stop. Else, I'm going to give it to Ammer here because there's only one letter. There's only one thing left, and that's that right there. So he has perfect control of his program. Not only does he have perfect control over his program, but he also has control over the operating system, the computer, the core. Because what he's doing is he's saying, I'm not going to go out here and tax this thing. This is as slick as you can make this, In other words, you're trying to get this done as clean and concise as possible so that you don't take computer time. You never know. You might be sharing this computer time with a whole lot of other people. or a whole lot of other programs. So
Yeah, so with any code like this you create, I always like to have like a little code block at the top that says,
yeah,
"Hey, the parameter's one."
yeah,
You could describe the parameter, and we should probably have a third parameter here for the random number,
exactly right.
and this should be between 1 and 100. Now, could we get 0? Is that a possibility, Kurt? With
Yeah,
the how the random function works? So maybe I
you
should
could,
say
you could. We probably should do a +1 in there, or do a roundup. If you do a roundup, you won't get 0. So now, here's the thing too. That's what we'll do. We'll do a roundup in that, but we also should check to make sure. Well, there's no data entry, so we know that if there's no data entry coming in for that third parameter, we know we're okay, right? We got to make sure that the parameters coming in are going to be valid. If that was a data entry, the random number is putting in a number between 1 and 100, so we're okay there. But if it was a text thing, then we would have made sure that we didn't get 101 in there, right? Or 200, because then we would have a logic error. The program would run, but it would be a logic error because Darren would win every time because he's going to get more values. And I don't like that. I will have a problem with that because Kurt wants to be better than Darren sometimes.
we'll see what the function gives us here in a moment. So John Brennan says you don't need a second if, and that's actually true. So this is something that I feel like maybe I got from you, Kurt. Something I feel is a good programming practice. If I have a branching or a looping construct within a branching or looping construct, I'm always going to indent. And so something that you might encounter is we could have done a third one here, right? If we say random number, look at that. We have that as an IntelliSense item here because it knows that I have a parameter variable I can work with. Okay. If it's 50, okay, then we'll do hammer.
Right.
I could have done that.
Could have. Didn't need to. Didn't need to though.
I didn't need to, no.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel like John, and maybe I'm wrong, John, when you were talking about that you were like not sure where we were going with it yet in the moment. So I didn't know. But that third one, that third process down there.
Yeah. So you could actually flatten this. You don't have to do this. We could have done taking these out and just have parameter after parameter for the if, sort of like a switch. What I was thinking about doing with a switch, or what you were thinking about doing with a switch. So that is a possible, and I know there's some to debate that what's better over another as far as in readability. If it's something simple like this, my brain coming from other programming languages see this and I'm like, I know exactly what's going on. If I had flattened this and not used these nested ifs and just made them a parameter, going on down with the if, I don't know. It just doesn't make as much sense for me. So you might have a preference one way or the other. What I would recommend for anyone is that at your organization, as if you're a freelancer working for small, maybe medium-sized organizations, you almost can go about things the way that you feel is the best practice. But if you're an employee for a large corporation or you're a contractor working for a large corporation, chances are they have their own coding guidelines for any of the development going on. So, and if they don't have one, you're probably going to get some bonus points from somebody if they've got a good sense about them as far as in doing software development. You get some brownie points for suggesting that you create the guidelines, the coding guidelines and standards for that organization. But this is the type of way that I like to write my code. That's the way I've been taught. So I know this guy beside me here is probably going to agree with me on this. Do you agree with me, Kurt, on pretty much what I just described there?
Yeah, I do. Up to that point of the equals 50, because to me that's the only one that's left available. So you can have that last if being else. You didn't need to do a check on that, right? Because that would be your else. Now Mente up here says that nested if slow performance and is good to avoid them in Power Apps. I've not seen that literature. I'd be interested in seeing that. Because that, and you might be right. I'm not saying that you're not, but I'm just thinking in a traditional sense, when you're thinking about programming, you're not going to go into the nested if the first one is. Now, maybe the interpreter's got to go in and look at the whole thing before. It just depends on how that processor looks at that. But under traditional languages, traditional processing, it's going to take that top if, and it's going to say, and if it's in that one, it stops right there. It doesn't go into the second or third if, in the way Darren has that set up. It won't go into the second or third. So in traditional senses, that would be the best and fastest way to get something done.
Well, Kurt, if I may interrupt you and sort of plug something that you say all the time, that you apply whenever you're teaching the switch or the select case, depending upon what language you're in.
Yep.
What you do is, let's say we've got a switch and we've got 50 options. Okay. Well, what you do and what you've taught me is do an if right before it.
Yep.
And make sure it even qualifies to go into those 50 options, right?
Exactly right. Won't even go in there. That's right.
Yeah. And then I'm going to add one more level to this. If anyone here is performance minded, or they've got this big question about performance, the question is this going to be inside of a loop? If there's any inefficiency in something like this, you're never going to notice it. In my opinion, if we're talking in a general sense, okay, right. Somebody will always find an exception. I'm going to give the exception right here. You've got a loop, okay, maybe 2,000 items. You're going to go through 2,000 items, and inside these 2,000 items, then you're going to call this thing every single time. Any type of looping, if there's any inefficiency in a loop, you're going to notice some scaling issues and performance issues. And that's where you really need to, in my opinion, my professional opinion, that's where you need to focus for most of the time when dealing with performance. Focus on anything that's repeated over and over again. And that could be a gallery, by the way. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and now, boy, I'll tell you what, we're getting into some really good stuff here. Some of the things that I'm talking about, these are fundamental philosophies that programmers have been arguing about for 1,000 years. Okay, but here we've got another one. Patel, I don't know how to say your first name. I'm sorry. Says you can avoid nested if by just using one. Power Apps if function supports multiple conditions, and that's right, it does. However,
that's what I was just saying to John Brennan. Yeah, you could definitely flatten all this.
But now here's the thing about that. There's a lot of things that are supported in a lot of languages. Doesn't mean it's always the best. You know, all money is not good money, right? So you got to look at it like that way. So for instance, I'm going to give you a couple examples. Darren just brought one up. One of the big things, and I used to flunk students for this. If you went into a switch statement, or in other languages, it might be a case statement where you have a list of items that something can be. And if you go in there without making sure that those items, it's going to be the item that you're looking at in that switch is going to be one of those values. In other words, if you don't wrap that switch around with an if you're not darn sure that it cannot be any other value, then you're locking in. Because see, at the end of that switch, you have an else clause, or in the case, you have an else clause. And if you have to use an else in a switch statement, that's a problem. That shows me that you don't have control over your program. So you can use an else, but that doesn't mean it's good. And also, if you're looping in some languages, you have a break. And if you're getting a for next loop and you use a break in a for next loop, because what's the rule of using a for next loop? You know you got to have the loop, and you know the number of times you got to use the loop. But so if you've got to leave, and what's the rule about that? Hold on,
the PPC students know that.
Right. That's true. Now, what's the rule on looping and procedures and functions? What is it on all of those things, Darren? What's the rule? Going in and going out.
have one entry point and one exit point.
Exactly right. You have one entry point and one exit point. So when you enter a loop, like a for next loop, you should have one. And the only point is when that loop gets done, then you know the number of times. So if you're doing something, you don't know the number of times, you got to do a break in it. That means you don't have control of your programming. That means you're lucking out of this. So I know sometimes my philosophies turn into dogma. And that's just because I'm really strong in my convictions of what I'm doing. But I try to teach people that. Now, obviously, out there in the real world, you guys do what you want to do. I mean, and it's okay. But I just want to try to teach how to do code where you're in really good control over it. So
Kurt, what do you think of this code? I changed the code while you were talking. Does this look cleaner? Does it look more of it? Like, is it, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? So we had what, 3 nested if statements, and now we've just got a single if function.
Yeah, you could do it that way. It looks okay to me.
Okay. And this is, go ahead.
I guess you wouldn't even need. Oh no, you got another one equals 50 else. Now, so that comma there, I guess that last comma's got me bothered.
Will this ever happen?
First, it won't. But second, I wouldn't like it anyway, because now you're lucking into it. Now you got an else in there. So this to me, this is representing a switch. This is representing a switch right here,
Mm-hmm. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds on the branching. I did respond to what people said. I flattened it. Some people like this. So if you guys like it, there it is. This should never happen because a number is always going to be less than 50, greater than 50, or 50. Those are only 3 options, right? So it's never going to happen here. And if you want to put something in here, you can say doo-doo stinks. Now, if you ever see doo-doo stinks anywhere, you've got a bug, right? I got in trouble. Working with you, Kurt. I had one of our clients where we write some code for, and one of the this engineering firm, like, you've got a variable initialized to doo-doo stinks. Is that standard operating procedure here? And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I'm like I was a baby programmer. You told me
boy, don't say that.
I was a baby programmer back then, Kurt. And then, yeah, so I didn't know how to respond to that, but, so yeah, right. Anyhow.
So let's get back to so let's wait before we go back to this. Let's go review that one time, because we talked about this thing. We went deep into the woods and we digressed quite a bit into conditional branches, which could have been a whole nother live stream, right?
Sure.
So we have, again, this is the construct of a function right here. So what we're doing is we've got 3 parameters. 2 of them are text-based. 1 of them is a number. Okay. And it's going to take those texts. Now, what are you returning?
Ooh.
You're returning. So what we need to be doing is we need to be testing. So what we've got hard-coded stuff here, Darren. If we were doing who's the man, we would need to be, and they were bringing that in, they could change those names. So we want to put any name 1 for the top if it's less than 50.
Yeah.
And any name 2 if it's greater than 50.
Kurt, you're so smart.
God, I love it when he says that. He almost never says that.
Kurt, you're not always right, but when you're right, you're really right.
Okay. And so
who's got the power, Darren? Who's got the power? I got the power.
That was an odd thing for you to do right there, Kurt.
That was so silly. That's so silly. Okay, so I think. Go ahead.
And I'm going to be fine for these hard-coded values here, but we definitely needed this.
Yeah, because that's the point of the function, right? Because you're bringing in you solve. Here's the philosophy on programming, right? You learn to solve a problem one time and then you repeat it. Learn how to repeat it. And what we've done is we solved the problem one time, we put it in this function, and now we have a repeatable problem-solving machine here. we have a function. And this is going to go into what Darren calls Darren's bag of tricks later on. He's going to have a function, a list of functions that he can put in any program that's going to have his tools. We're going to talk about that later. Anyway, what you got to say, Darren?
I almost want you to repeat, not that necessarily the last part, but the first part is that's the trick to programming.
It's the total thing.
You create it once and then it's done. You can just call it. You use that.
Yep. Learn to
You
solve
don't copy and paste things all over the place. If you can define them in here in functions and always use it rather than having this logic 25 times throughout your application.
And we're going to talk a lot about that here in a little bit, because I want to talk about why we make these functions and all that. But I guess I just want everybody to start this off by seeing the anatomy of a function. So you're going to go into the formula section of your Power App program, and you're going to create a function name. You can prefix it with FX like Darren did. I think that's a great practice. You have a parameter list, and you see those lists, and then you have a colon at the end of it, and that is the return. What's the purpose of a function? What does it do, Darren? What's a function do?
A function should return a value.
Return a value. That's the big thing I want everybody to know. So you're going to return a value, and that value is going to be that text. It's going to take this code that we've got in here. We got this if condition right here. And it's going to go down this thing, and it's going to look at that random number, and it's going to return the value that if condition return. You see that if is a function, right? That if is a function, and it's got parameters in there. You see that? You got parameters, comma separated parameter list in there. Yeah. And so what it's going to do is the if is going to return a function. It's going to return whatever's true in that statement, right? So
I have a, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to finish that off, somewhere in the deep, dark recesses of Microsoft's Power Apps, somebody wrote a program, a baby program, a function called if. And it goes out there and it does the same thing we're doing here. It's going out there doing some stuff with these parameters, and it's going to return a value. Okay, go ahead, Darren.
Yeah. I was just saying for the return value, since we have the text here, this is always a good idea. Document your code and don't think of it as something for somebody else. It could very well be you coming back in here 6 months. What does this thing do? String representing who, and I almost, I feel bad as a whose demand. I almost feel like who's the rock star. Okay.
Maybe I want to be a country music singer.
Everybody wants to be a ninja, a pirate, or a rock star, Kurt. Okay. And I want to know who the rock star is.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kurt, I feel like what we need to do, I feel like we can come up with a couple of names we can throw in here, but a random number. How do we come up with a random number? Give us a little spiel on working with random numbers in Power Apps. I mean, I don't want to spend, half an hour on it, but maybe a good 5 minutes of how all this random numbers stuff works.
I do want you to do something like that with this. Go out there and put a label out there on the screen.
Label.
Yeah.
We got a label here.
And in the text for that, do a rand function.
I'm going to make this nice and big so everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're telling me there's a function out here that will give us a random number.
That's right. Go out there and do rand. Now, we talk about this ad nauseum in Accelerator, but this is good stuff. People pay big money for this, guys. So rand, you use the rand function with empty parentheses. Go ahead out there and give me. Okay, now it's going to give you a number between 0 and 1. That's what the rand function is going to do. A random number between 0 and 1. And you think to yourself, now this is for the people that haven't really worked with this a lot, but there's not a whole lot of random numbers between 0 and 1, is there? Well, if you look at it at the integer level, you're right. 0 and 1, that's the only thing you get, right? But if you take a number between 0 and 1, a real number, well, how many numbers are between 0 and 1 with a real number, Darren?
How many random numbers are there?
Between 0 and 1, if you take a real number, not at an integer level, but at a real number level.
I guess we could have like an infinite amount, couldn't we?
Infinite, man. Infinite, right? So it's a lot of numbers you can have in there. So then you're going to do some really cool stuff to make that go back. So let's go back to that label there.
So I am experiencing some technical difficulties right now.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at this
Oh, you
one,
gotta
I
have,
think.
I think it's who won equals, Darren. You
Here
gotta
we
have
go.
it equals.
There, I found it. I was I created a virtual machine for this because we had some fun with a virtual machine, guys. If
Oh, they are so awesome.
we did a live stream last night, we should talk about it a little bit.
They are so
Kurt,
awesome.
did you know-
Oh, I'm sorry, Darren. I'm talking over top of you. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, you had an issue. We're working with a client, and you could not open a Power Apps project. And I said, well, we'll try it on a different computer, try a different browser, try incognito. It would not allow you to open it. So if you guys have ever, and I could get into it, like what was going on? And it's like, okay, I'm like, let's create a virtual machine. It's going to be up there in the cloud. You can just log into it with a remote desktop, use Power Apps, and it should work. And boy, did it.
Boy, did it. Oh boy, it's so fast. It's just so smooth. You're working off a virtual machine right now, right, Darren?
That is right.
Have you notice a difference in how just the clickability, just the navigating around? Do you feel like it's just more solid?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason for that is that I'm using Windows 10 instead of Windows 11 because I don't like Windows 11 like at all. Guys, I'm going to share with you something really profound here. Microsoft, I think they create great operating systems, Windows, but it's only every other. Okay, you guys remember? Well, we had like Windows 2000, which was like the first really good version of Windows, in my opinion, and it sort of replaced NT. And then you've got then you had Windows Me. That wasn't good, but Windows XP was good. What was after XP? I think it was Vista. And then they created another one that was good. So I think they've got two teams that do operating systems. So right now there's somebody creating a Windows 12 and the 13, and like maybe one team's better than the other. Yeah. But that's my little spiel on Windows operating systems. But yeah, the virtual machine ended up being really fast. So I created one for today.
I absolutely love it. And I'm trying to think of ways I really want to use that a lot more. Okay, so let's get back to this RAND function because I want people to understand that. So the RAND function returns a value, just like you see it's a function. We're talking about functions here. Now, this is one that was created by the Power Apps people, the Power Apps wizards, and they built a function that returns a value between 0 and 1. Now, what we can do then is we can do some math with this. So let's take that RAND and now just double click RAND. Just double click RAND. You see how it changes every time you double click it? You see that?
Oh, wow.
Right? This is what they call it's a non-persistent function. So every time you run this, it's going to be something different. Now, but you'll notice though that it did not change the value inside of the label.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Okay, so this is why I wanted you to do this so that you can understand. What you have to do to change the label is you have to give it an entry point change every time. So let's go, let's give it a round. Let's put round in front of that, RAND.
Oh, okay.
Round. And I'm sorry, not round. Let's go round up. I want to round up every time because I don't ever want it to be 0. Okay. Never want it to be 0. So we're going to round up and we're going to take nope, not there. We're going to take times 100, RAND times 100, because it's a decimal, right? And we're going to round up, comma 0. Now you're going. Now we want it to be a whole number every time.
Oh,
see that? See how that worked right there?
Yeah. Now it says 12.
Yep.
So I select it again. It's going to get me 89, then 24.
Now go and click your button. Now let's put that label. Let's put that function. Let's take that function that you did, that whole code, highlight that code that you've got in the text, and let's put that into a variable and put it on your button.
So I'm going to comment this out. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Just playing.
So I'm going to put it in here, but you said put it into a variable.
Yeah.
Kurt, would you like that to be a global variable or a local variable?
Let's do a local variable because that was good programming practice, right?
That's right.
And we'll
And
call
what was
that
like the variable name to be?
LOC number. And then close her up.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and run. And then in that LOC number, let's put that in your code. Let's put that in your text box.
Oh, in the label?
In your label. I say text box label. There we go. And let's go ahead and run your code and click a couple times and see what we get.
30, 54,
now,
67.
You'll notice because I put that in that text box, what it did is it changed the way, how do I say it? It changed the dynamics. So if you don't do anything to change, see I'm trying to learn how to figure out how to explain this. When you have it just sitting in the label and you're clicking it, there's no dynamics in memory happening. But when you move it into a variable, you're changing the dynamics of the memory. And when it does that, it's actually having to go back and poke that memory location where that random number is being generated at, and it changes it. It forces a change. If you don't change any dynamics in that, the random number will not change.
Interesting.
It's called volatile, non-volatile. I'm trying to remember. It's an old concept. It's called non-volatile memory, and that's what random does.
So it's not immutable.
Right. It's not immutable. That's right.
So we've got. So Amber was requesting that we show this one.
So that's okay. So you have this infinite number between 0 and 1. It's going to be a decimal. So we times it by 100 to break that a whole number, right? Now let's do something else. See, some people like to use rand between, but I don't like to use rand between. I like to have control over my stuff. So, and then, you know what? It just comes back to, I don't like to use other people's functions. I want to make my own. That's all.
Well, I find it's great because you understand them. Well, I know it. I wrote it. Of course I understand it. I wrote it, but
you're right, Darren. That's exactly right. When you're learning it, learn it this way. And then you can go out there and now you know how rand between works, right?
Yeah.
So let's do one more thing. Let's have a random number between 1 and 50 or 1 and 3.
Okay. You going to step me through that? So
yeah.
by the way, before we go on, Mr. or Mrs. Patel says, my mind is blown by the fact that there can be infinite numbers between finite bound of 0 and 1.
It's great stuff, isn't it? That's called a real number. It's infinite. Number. It just depends on how many decimal places that you want to have, right? How many decimals? What is the level of precision? When you talk about precision, it means the more precise is going to be the wider the decimal, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do a random number between 1 and 5, just change that round up from 100 to 5.
Oh. Okay. 3, 2, 4. I like it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now, if you do the round up, you'll never get 0. The rand function in its purity is going to give you a number between 0 and 1. It can be 0, but will never be 1. Okay. But if you do a round up, you will get no 0 and you'll get a 1.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Very interesting. Okay. I like that. Okay. What do we do next, Kurt?
Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to our function now. That you kind of wanted to go over the dynamics of rand, so we did that. So let's go back to our function now.
Let me ask you a question. Would it be a good idea to take this right here and create a function out of that? Could we do that?
Well, why not? Why not?
And we can call the function like random number.
Round up rand. Yeah, there you go. Make your own ran between. Call it Scooter's ran between.
Scooter.
I don't know who Scooter is. I don't know who Scooter is.
All right, here's our code here. Is there something that?
Hold on, I got to tell people what Scooter is. So there was a long time ago. He used to be a student in one of my classes, and I'd have, I don't know, 30 people in the class, and you know, I'm doing a spiel. I'm out here doing that like I do, and Darren was a very active student. He was really active, and so he would raise his hand and he would ask me a question about how this thing worked, which meant like just like we did here. I'm trying to show how to do a function, and Darren says, no, wait a minute, we gotta show what this RAND does, you know. So what he would do is he would ask me, hey Kurt, what does RAND do? He raised his hand, what does RAND do?
You're getting me back for all the times I interrupted you.
Yeah, that's right. And so I'd say, okay, well, Scooter. So, you know, because he had a good point. He was just he wanted to learn this stuff, man. He was soaking this stuff up like a sponge. And he didn't want to miss anything. So I went back and I said, well, Scooter, because, you know, and it's fun to pick on people. You know, I like to pick on some people here and there, not to hurt them, not ever to hurt them, or, you know, but, you know, it's all in fun. It's all in jest. It's programming, man. Programming is pretty dry. So you got to have some fun, right? So I'm up there and I said, well, Scooter. And then, you know, it just made it fun. You know what I mean? And of course, I'm sure he did. He's like, Scooter, what's this Scooter? But it was good stuff, man. So I still, once in a while when he does something really good, I call him Scooter still.
That's funny. All right. What do we do from here, Kurt?
Okay. So, let's go back and do our function. Let's go back to our function. Okay. The function call, we've got that done. FX Rockstar. So now we're ready to go to our call. We've defined our function, what our baby program is going to do. This is what that's called. It's called a baby program. It's just a little program that does a few things.
Applet.
Now we're going to go and do our call. So go back to your formulas section.
Okay, let me go back in there. Okay.
I'm sorry. You got to do the call.
Okay.
I'm lost there. Don't. Darren's going to leave this live stream. He's going to need a drink or something by the time he's done with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that text label.
Okay.
To let's call that LOC Rockstar. That number up there, the LOC.
Okay.
See how you got LOC number up there?
Yeah. You know what? I sort of like what we've done. So I'm going to create, if it's okay with you, I'm going to create 2 of these.
Sure.
And then, so we'll still have, let me do 2 because we can make the file available for everybody and they might want it. Okay. So here, not for the on select, but for the text, you want the text. Now, do we want to call the function with this? Like a button, or do we want to call it here?
No, let's call it in a button. Yep. Every time we click that button, it's going to go find out who's the rock star.
So rock star, boom, start, no star.
And okay, and so now we're going to go over and we're going to say in that button, yep, and it's going to equal FX.
Okay.
And then you're going to put in the parameters. Let's put
Look at that.
Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Just look at it, Kurt.
That's the first time I've seen it.
You know what I say when I see something like this? Would you just look at it?
Will you just look at it? Now, I like the way you put your literals in there. See, this is how he codes, so that way he doesn't forget anything, right? Before he does anything, he just says and puts these strings in there. I like it. So put Darren, and then Kurt, and then Rockstar.
All right.
And let's see what happens, folks. Let's see what happens.
All right. Here we go. Oh, it's Darren. Darren's the rock star.
Great.
Let's try it again.
Uh-oh. What did you do, Darren?
What happened, Kurt?
What did you do?
Darren cannot be converted to a number.
What in the heck just happened there? So let's go see what's in Rockstar.
An error. An error is in Rockstar.
So, okay, so it's in our formula then.
Wow.
Who's the rock star? We got
Well, you
Darren.
know what I meant to do was this
Oh,
LOC
yeah,
random
yeah.
number. That's what I meant to do.
And actually, you've got it. Nope. You've got to actually put the whole function in there, bud. Put that whole line of code in there that generated that 1 to 5, the roundup.
Well, so what I was thinking was over here, we generate a number,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So we got 1 to 100, right? And then over here, we'll always know what number was used to pass in.
Oh, I see
What I
what
was
you did.
thinking.
Okay, I like it. I didn't
So,
see that.
I
You
mean,
did
as
that.
you can see, Darren is the rock star. And
Yeah,
you can see it because I can just run it. I can call it over and over. It's telling me Darren every time. I love
yeah,
it.
because you're not changing the number over there, bud. So you're, like I said, put that random number stuff over here. Play right, Darren.
I think Amber is the new and improved Scooter. Do you see what he said over here? Can we reference the number in the text box? So what we could do.
That's what he did.
Well, so a text. So maybe what he means, like, for what I'm thinking is, we might want to have like who you want to ask about. Okay, so for here we'll say
okay.
person one.
No, he's asking, can we reference the number in the text from the text box? The number. Darren.
Okay. So you're saying he wants a number here and refer to it?
I think he's
Amber,
talking
can you
I think he's talking about the number that he's got over there where that number 5's at, which is what you're doing.
yeah, it could be a text box, absolutely. In fact, I could say LOC number.
And Amber said yes. That's what he did. LLC number is the same thing that we're
Put that
putting
in there. And then, I mean, they could edit it, right? And then we could say TXT random number.
Right. But we're not putting a random number in that function right there.
So we could use this random number here in the is selected, if I can get it to open up. On select. Where is my on select? Here we go. So what you're saying is, instead of doing that, we could use the text property of this, but we probably need to turn it back into a number, because anything inside of a text box is going to be a string.
That's right. In fact, why don't you just try it without it once and see what it does?
Do it, Kurt. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure. So I'm expecting Kurt to show up. So we're creating our own little test to test our function, right? So he's Kurt.
I put 50 in there.
50. Oh, it's Amber.
Okay, so now put LL in there.
Ooh. LL.
Yep. And hit who's the rock star. Oh, can't do it. So you got to have a value in there, man.
Well, I've got a perfect fix for that. We'll just click on this text box.
Make sure
and
it's
change this to a number.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a random number, because the random number already ran. So you've got to put the random number formula in the parameter, because the rules of the game say it must be a random number.
I got this little Kurt on my shoulder. It's like, Darren, I got to name my controls right? I'm referring to it in code.
Good
and
stuff.
I don't want anything.
I love it.
What'd you teach me, Kurt? You taught me not to use any static values, didn't you?
That's exactly right.
Make it dynamic.
But it's okay to use the static values when you're trying to solve the problem. But we've learned how to solve the problem. So now we're learning how to repeat it. That's what we're doing now. And this is how you repeat the solution every time, no matter what. Except, no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Like it?
No. I want a random number put in. I want that function taken out of that generate random number and put into your parameter.
Okay. You want me to go on this button or this label?
I want you to go to that generate random number over there. And I want you to take the unselect. And I want that code.
This code?
Yep.
Okay. And put it over here. So it's always going to be
in that parameter. Yep.
Right there. Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do this. I'm going to comment that out.
Now notice, guys, that this is, he didn't put a literal number in there. He didn't put a value in there. He put a function in there. So you can have, just like in all the Power Apps functions, you can have nested functions, right? So now every time you click that thing, let's see what it does.
Okay. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to type in here, Darren, Kurt.
Look at there. Now, if we had a counter, you could do something like that too. You could put in a collection, and you could. In fact, let's just do a function inside of that function that does a count, right?
All right, a function within the function.
Do we want to do that? Do we want to do that? No. Well, because then what we could do is I got to think about that a little bit. You'd be returning a record then.
Well, so yesterday we did something. Did you like what we did yesterday? We were working on a similar type of example.
I was just thinking about how to do that within a function though. But we could create a function that goes out there and finds out who is the real man, who is the real rock star by how many times, who's got the most, you know?
All right. Let's do this here. So I'm going to do a collect. I'm going to create a collection. Okay.
Patel says, what will it take for the function to display doo-doo stinks? You can't, that's the point. So
how many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop?
A Tootsie Roll.
A Tootsie Roll lollipop.
Lollipop. Now, okay, so this doo-doo stinks. I think we need to talk about this a little bit, guys. So we're going to talk about this probably in another place, but when we're talking about variables and we're talking about initializing. So think about sometimes you're writing an app that's got maybe hundreds of thousands of lines of code. If you're doing something that's really, really big and you've got a lot of variables sitting out there. So when you're initializing things, I like to initialize my values to certain numbers that probably cannot be used in that won't make sense. And one of my favorite values is -57 for my numbers. If I have a number out there that's going to be generated by something that I need to be done, I'll initialize that value to -57. That tells me two things. First of all, the -57 is my signature. In fact, Darren probably knew that, and if he saw -57 in the code, he'd say, "Well, Kurt wrote this code."
And mine is doo-doo stinks.
And his is doo-doo stinks. And why that's important is because if you're looking at 100,000 lines of code and somebody's calling you on a support and says, I get this number, it's just -57. It doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be a dollar amount. I'm supposed to have a dollar amount. It says -57. I know right away that variable didn't get used correctly or assigned correctly. And I also know that this was me that did it. It's my code. It was my code. So that's good stuff to remember. I don't know. I think these are little what I call pro tips, because sometimes I come from the dark ages when programmers had to fly over the seas to go to another country to fix the code that they worked on. So you might be out there in the middle of this thing and with live data, and you're going, "What? I got to debug this code. Oh my God. So then you're out there working on it. So these little tricks right there help you. They're shortcuts in debugging. Anyway,
I think doo-doo stinks is better.
Well,
because you might actually have a -57 somewhere.
That's right. I mean, obviously you got to think about, can this ever be -57 be a valid value? Doo-doo stinks is a great thing for text, for a text. I think it is. Is it appropriate? Maybe not. But it sure will. Hey, it sure will make people call you. Hey, this program, it says doo-doo stinks for the name. My name, there's nobody's name's doo-doo stinks.
I see Minty here. Minty, I've been missing you, man, at the group meetings throughout the week. Hopefully we'll see you this next week. And then so AAA says AAA. Oh, he works for the insurance company, or is the insurance company. AAA. Hi guys, came here. So this is a great question while talking about this. And I just found out about this yesterday that it was actually going to be released. So I've been playing with it a little bit. Haven't done this yet, which is having unlimited parameters. Well, we already saw an example of this using the if function. You just keep on giving it parameters, almost like a nested if, you know. As soon as I find out how to do that here, if it is possible, hopefully they will, because we have functions like if.
It will be someday. It will be.
Yeah, we'll cover it here as soon as I find out how to do that.
Well, I'm sure that this is still a baby in the process for Microsoft right now. They're still probably fine tuning this thing. They've probably been working on this for a year, and they've got it to a point where it's stable enough to be able to throw out to us. And I'm sure they're going to be adding things to it. You know.
So AAA's mentions about the version, and that's right. So that goes to show you right there that Microsoft, Kurt just said it's it's just like a baby feature that's going to get developed here. It's experimental. So yeah, from yesterday to today, it's gone up 4 versions.
That tells you they've been working like mad. Their hair's on fire.
This is funny. If I saw doo-doo stinks in a program, I'd call cybersecurity. Okay, so I've got a new one for you. And the string is doo-doo stinks, but don't tell the cybersecurity because it's a secret, or because they don't agree. Cybersecurity won't agree with this statement, but doo-doo stinks. So then people will call up and they're like, it's sort of like saying, making your Wi-Fi password, you have to buy something, right? So
Right.
Somebody comes to your establishment, your business, they come in and they free Wi-Fi and they're like, hey, what's the password? You have to buy something. Oh, okay. Well, I'll buy this pack of gum and these Skittles. So what's the Wi-Fi password? You have to buy something. Oh, okay. Well, I'll buy this and this. And then about the third time, maybe they're like, how many things do I have to buy? You don't have to buy anything, but the password is you got to buy something.
Good stuff.
Anyhow.
All right.
I digress.
So
We digress.
He does. You could put it in like you got there where you got a collection. I like what you did there because you're thinking, let's just put other stuff in there. You could just make a one value collection, right? Where it would just have value in it. But
let's do it, Kurt. Isn't this what you were hinting at with the with the thing?
Well, actually, I was thinking we were just going to make it you can do it this way to show your collection, but you don't have to show your collection. You could just have a collection sitting out there in memory, and you would just have a record. You would do a record count for the 2 parameters and determine which one's the most. Or you could do a sort on the number.
So I'm trying to get to my collection that I created here. So just to show you guys the code of what I just did there. I did a collect, call responses. And I'm creating a collection of records or rows, who won, and what was the date timestamp. Okay, so I'm going to go down to this gallery, give it that collection name. Oh, look, Kurt, Darren.
Now, where did you do that at? What code were you doing that at? I'm sorry, Darren.
It was while you're talking.
Okay. So you got so now every time you click on the button, is it going to be collecting? It's going to add to that. Okay, I see. Now is it going to be are you going to label the current one, the one that won that moment? Because that's where we started this off. So
yeah, it calls the function, puts it into this field, and I've got another field for when it was done. And I put that each individual item into this collection here as they click on that button. So if you look at this, I'm going to close this up a little bit, and we'll double click on this and we'll look at what we have. Who won? Kurt Darren, the
Yeah.
timestamp.
Okay.
You like that?
Right. But now what I was asking was in that label where we had the original call at, if you could go to the label when we said who's the Rockstar version 1. Okay, you've got it version 1, version 2. So it's not going to go and update that label with the current winner every time.
What label do you want to update, or do you?
Well, that's the one that we started this off. We were updating the label. If you go back to your screen, you've got a label of who won, right?
Yeah. So if I click on one, it puts it right here.
And that's the point. So now in this other version, you're not going to update that label every time, right? Is that what you're
Probably
saying?
should.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to get at. Sometimes you got to learn how to speak Chinese or something with me, because I don't. Yeah, there's a whole language, Kurt. You got to speak Kurt.
And sometimes, guys, sometimes we jive, and sometimes we're like babbling idiots. I feel like I've still got brain fog. We should do this at 10 o'clock at night, not 10 o'clock in the morning, but nobody will show up.
We can ask. There's Triple A asked a good question. We're all good questions, guys. But can you pass object or collection table to user-defined functions? I believe we can. We haven't tried it yet. Maybe we shall. But it's got an untyped object. Don't they have that in there? I thought.
Give me 1 second. My brain's processing one thing.
Sure.
So I want to reference my collection, and I want to look at the last one that was generated.
There you go. There you go.
Who won?
Who won?
That's what you wanted, right?
That's what I wanted.
So I keep clicking on this. Boom, Kurt. Wow, you're winning a lot, man. Oh, there's Darren.
Well, we have to have a number now. We have to have a number sitting out there.
We have to have a number.
Yeah, we got it. The whole purpose of this, see, this is where Darren and me go. So I ask a question and Darren goes off and does a whole big old thing. And all I wanted was just a number. I just wanted a number.
My coffee hasn't kicked in yet, man. I need another cup.
No, you know what it is you take my idea and you just make it go wild. And it's like, no, I just wanted a little thing here. So I just wanted a simple function out there. I want a simple function. Now that you've got this collection, we can do it. A simple function to determine who's got the most in the collection.
Who's got the power? That's what you want to
Who's got the power? Out. That's what we want. Who's got the power? That's right, Darren.
And I can do a wrap count of 2 so we can see more at once. I'm going to save it. Okay. Now that I've done that, now my brain can process something else. What do you want to do now?
We need two functions written. One function that will go out and see who's got the most. And then we need another function to return how many's in there. How many items are in there? Although we've already got that with the count rows of the collection.
Yeah, but this whole video is about creating these user-defined functions. So let's do this, Kurt. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I got some more space to look and type here.
Now that's another question. Amber in the private chat just said something about how much do they score each time? So, well, I mean, it's not really what the score was, but what was that value? We should be recording what that value was each time too, right? So we should do that in the collection.
Okay, so the value of what?
The value of that random number.
Okay. Can we hold off on that for now, or do we need to do that now?
No, we don't. Let's do it because
I just want to do one thing at a time. Otherwise, I'm going to get my brain will get. It's not easy to mess my brain up. But
not only that, but you got to do something kind of special, because if you call it again, you're going to get a different number. So go ahead.
Okay, so we are finding out who's won, or what is it that you want to do?
We want to know who's won the most. I want a function that goes out and tells me who won the most.
Who ultimately won. Okay. So we need an opening and closing a parenthesis. Do we need to pass any parameters in?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm still kind of hung up on the name. Who ultimately won? Maybe we would want to call it who won the. So we might have a function. There could be several functions that are tied to this thing, right? So maybe we need to have a most function and a least function, and because you could have more than one person in there. You could have an average function. There's so many things we could put. But for right now, I just want to know.
Let's keep it simple.
Right. So who won the most? And this is going to be. And so we don't really need a parameter. Nope. I don't think we need a parameter.
Okay.
Because we're going to hard code point. Now, if we wanted to change the data source, we would need a parameter to pass in the data source. But since we're just going to go ahead and look at that one data source, we don't need a parameter. And right here, it's going to be a text.
Okay. So we've got that.
Mm-hmm.
And
now
we need an equal sign there, right? And that is pretty. Now we need a semicolon there too. Now, what is it complaining about? The formula contains semicolon where parent close is expected. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I think we actually need to put some code in here, I think is what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't even necessarily need the parentheses on those, I don't think. Right. But I guess it doesn't hurt. So we need to do an if statement. Let's see. We need to do if right now we've got two things. So let's sort. Well, how do you want to do that? I can see doing this in a couple of ways, Darren. We could actually create a collection with the amounts, with the name and the amounts.
Okay, so we what I want to do is
this is what I want to do. I got it now.
Oh, you got it. What do you want to do?
Got it. What I want to do. Okay, so we can make that determination on our own. So what we'll do is we'll do how many for each one. So like you give it a name, you give it the person's name, goes out there and says how many did that person win. So let's say we give the parameter of Kurt, and then we'll go out there and do a count rows with a filter of Kurt.
Okay.
And we'll return that number. And we can put that in a text box. And then we can have another text box called Darren. And we could pass that as a parameter.
Okay, person.
Yep.
This is feeling better, man. This feels better.
It feels better. Yeah. The other one could have been a little bit stronger.
I mean, we could add on to these. I see a lot of chats in the private chat and the external chat. So we can do all kinds of things. So we're going to pass in the person here. So let's do a filter.
Thomas Hendricks says it should be URS, Ultimate Rock Star. That'd be the name, right? I love it, Thomas. Good stuff. Filter call responses. Yeah, and text. What would you call it? Name or?
It's called who won? Okay,
who won?
So we're gonna say who won in there.
Isn't this fun, guys? I just love this. We're sitting here.
I think we got a good turnout. So this is a huge feature.
Okay.
Who won equals person.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Look at that. You got to do a count rows in front of that, right?
Well, you got to spell filter, right? And then yes, yeah, count rows. These things cannot be compared. And that's because Power Apps is confused. Once I put a semicolon in there, now it's going to work.
Okay.
Now the question, the statement that you made is, or maybe the question that you posed is, do we really need those parentheses?
That was a question.
As a developer, I always like to see the beginning and the end of my function. So I just proved that you don't have to. So we could maybe make this more simple. I like to see where it begins and ends, but whatever.
It'd be
So
nice if we needed to put some kind of curly braces in there or something, huh? Or a beginning and end, like in Pascal. Yeah, there you have it.
okay, so that should work.
Now that's
So
we put that in a text box, a label out there. We'll call that Kurt's wins.
yeah. Okay, so FX wins. Look at that. We pass in the person. Okay.
Yep.
So we say
Text box.
I'm gonna say TXT person
Yep.
2.
Yep.
Dot text. Look, you've won 7 times, Kurt.
Isn't that great? Look at that.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see here if it's more or less than what I have.
So now we need to put that. Now let's rearrange that so you got your 2 name labels up there, your 2 text boxes. Put that up next to each label so that we can.
Okay.
Cool? Look at
that. I like it. So I'm gonna put this 7 over here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna copy and paste this. I'm gonna put this one over here by Darren.
Now you see how we did this, guys? This is so smooth, man, because we did all that code one time. And now he can sit here and just put as many people in there as he wants. Oh, Kurt's the ultimate rock star.
Kurt, I'm going to continue this until mine is bigger than yours. And it's just a matter of time.
Oh, you're catching up.
Dude, you cheated. You cheated because I'm not.
You're catching up. Oh, my God. Look how fast he caught. Oh, he passed me. Darren.
I have a feeling we could make a game in Power Apps now.
Maybe what we could do is we could get 2 icons and have rockets, and we could have random numbers.
Where'd you go? You left me. Kurt has been experiencing some issues with his yeah, oh no. Sometimes his computer, I bought him an Alienware so he could have a good computer, and the thing crashes on him. So I'm sure he'll be back in a moment or two. All right, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to look at the comments here. What do we have? I was trying to understand some JavaScript function syntax and seeing how you write functions. Here, it's made easy for me to understand the JS. Absolutely. So that's what we do. We're teaching software development at the same time that you're learning Power Apps here. So that if you go and learn anything else, you can take these concepts and apply it and learn other things faster. Or I'm a little offended.
Well, I think my computer is crashing again.
That's why I told people. Yeah, I'm like, why you abandoned me?
I'm sorry.
You know I have abandonment issues, right, Kurt? I mean, come on.
You won. It was because you won. I just couldn't handle it anymore.
You rage quit.
I was done. I took my toys and went home. So there we have it.
You see this comment here?
No, let me see. I got this private chat in. Okay. I was trying to understand some Java syntax, and seeing how you write functions here made it easy for me to understand the JS. There we go. Thank you. That's great. So here's the thing. You had said something, and I'm glad you guys are here to watch this. Everybody's here to watch this, because there's a lot of people out there that, you never know. They don't know what the topic is here. I guess you did display the topic before the live stream started, but you kind of need to join the live stream every day to see what's going on, because you just never know what we're going to start talking about here. I mean, we started covering functions, but we did a lot of stuff. Think about the ran function. We talked about a lot of stuff in between. We talked about the if, there's a lot of stuff that we cover when we're talking about a topic. So I'm really glad that, and here's Patel's trying to figure out this JavaScript stuff, and he's over here working with Power Apps. He's like, bam. And that's exactly the point that I wanted to go to about Accelerator. We teach fundamental programming. It doesn't matter the language. Doesn't matter the language. We do focus on Power Apps. We want that to be our genuine focus. But anyway,
absolutely. So Amber was talking here, as you mentioned, rockets, we can use slider bars to view who is ahead in a more intuitive way. Okay, so it's like a tug of war. in the
I love it.
little in the browser. And then Thomas asked, what kind of a tug of war concept with the slider? Okay, so let's see if I can do this, Kurt.
Let's do
how are we
it.
gonna do this?
Let's do it. Hold on, I'm gonna check something real quick. I'll be right back because I'm very scared that my computer is gonna crash here. So I'll be back.
Yeah, don't let that happen again. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything down a little bit. The question is, do we use the classic slider or the modern slider? It should be able to work with either, of course. And I'm going to say 0 to 100. So the amount of times that will go, I'm going to click on it a few more times, and then this dot should move around. So, wow, I got a math problem here, guys. Kurt loves these math problems. Okay. So I'm going to take these two numbers and so excuse me as I got to think through this. We got two numbers and I'm going to click on this button 100 times. So if I won 50 and he won 50, it should be right in the middle. But I want it to move as we go. So let's say I won 25, he won 25. That should still be right in the middle. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the two numbers. I'm going to put a label here. So I've got this label here, dot text, but I want to do a value around it. Okay. And I want to add this one. How's your computer doing? I can't hear you. I don't hear you now. Yeah, so you might need to there's a sprocket, Kurt, for settings. If you go into settings, you'll see general video and audio. You click on audio, you can pick a different microphone. I don't know if that's what's going on, but you can change the microphone that way. So I'm going to grab the this label here. Okay. So I'm going to add those two together, and it's 92. Then I'm going to divide those in two. Is that what I should do, guys? Okay. No, that's not right. I'm going to make that multiply that by 100. Yeah. That's not right. I don't know that I want to add those values together. Yeah, maybe maybe it's not a good idea to go down this math thing here. This is a cool little puzzle. Sometimes it takes me, and I don't want to sit here for 10 minutes trying to figure it out. Kurt might be able to figure out as soon as he comes on, and maybe we'll look at that. But the idea, guys, that will eventually get, hopefully before the live stream's over. So based on these two values, out of like 100, like 100%, like where does it fall? So in this case, yeah, I'll be sitting here in silence too long to make this interesting. But I think this is really cool what we've done. So we've got a whole log of what's been going on here. Okay. And we've got counts. We know how to create a function. So I'm going to click on app formulas. We know how to create user-defined formulas or user-defined functions. A lot of times is what they're called in other languages. So that's so I'm gonna go into the comment section and look. Okay, so here's a good question. Model-driven applications. When are you planning to bring some fun with model-driven apps? I don't enjoy working with model-driven apps, so that's why I don't talk about them very much. But that's something that maybe we should do. Let's talk about model-driven. So it's very easy to create like boilerplate type of applications and screens based on your model, your database model that you create in Dataverse. So yeah, we do plan on eventually covering some of that. Now you can embed Canvas Power Apps and model-driven apps. So if you want to have something like this in your model-driven apps, you can embed it. That's nice. Oh, so Mark says we could have a slider for each person. Ooh, that's sort of cool. That would make it a lot. Yeah, that would make it a lot more interesting. So Kurt, it looks like Kurt's trying to get on. And by the way, Kurt, if you can hear me, I cannot hear you or see you. And I've got a black rectangle. There you are. Say something. You're muted. So we don't hear you, by the way. I'm going to continue to move this down. So what I'm going to do is move this down a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to create a slider for me and a slider for Kurt. Okay. So Darren will be, I'll take this label here. Okay. So this will be person 1. Okay. Dot text. But we want to take the value of that. Okay. Now, what's the total? What is the max? Well, how many times has it been called? Okay. So we could create yet another user-defined function. Okay. fx total tries. And this is going to be a number. Okay. So we'll do this right here. We'll say count rows. And we won't pass anything in. Okay. So I'm going to use that. I don't have errors anywhere else. That's good. So for the max, instead of it being 100, it'll just be total tries. Now we'll need to have parentheses in there. And look, it says 47. There's been 47 tries. Say something.
Nope. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, now.
Shoo. Okay.
What happened? What was that about?
I don't know. This machine just went crazy on me. Anyway, I'm sorry. Boy, it looks like I missed a lot too.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't know how much fun you're having, but I'm having more fun today than I've been having on these live streams ever. I'm having a blast here. This This stuff, I just love this stuff.
Absolutely. This is really fun.
It is. And there's so much stuff now. You guys, Power Apps is growing. It's growing. It's a real programming language now.
This is exciting, guys. I could tell there's some excitement just based on the turnout for this live stream. So, Kurt, I created yet another user-defined function, like total tries.
Okay.
Now, we could have just said count rows everywhere, but that's one way we could do it. Total tries on the max. And then I'm going to take this into default.
So wouldn't it be cool to invert the number on, just use one slider and invert the number if it's less? It like if the left side is stronger than the right side, then you would invert the number so that it look like the slider is winning on this side, you know?
Let me finish this one thing and then okay. So we've got that. Okay. So somebody says I saw, so Mark says I saw two sliders, one for each player. So as I click on this, you see how
that's kind of cool.
Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
Okay. Now, what did you just say? What did you just suggest?
Let's think about, now I've got to think about this because I haven't done this since maybe my sophomore year in high school, but
so this is when you had all the problems. I was thinking of like a tug of war thing. We have one slider.
Yeah.
Person one is on the left side, person two is on the right.
Right.
Somebody said tug of war and it just made sense, but I was having a hard time with the math. So is this what you're talking about? You see, I've got a little label up here, and I'm trying to create a number within this thing.
Yep. And it's going to go similar. Remember the time when you did that in accelerator programming, you were showing people how to do, we were doing, I think we might've been doing sliders actually.
A gallery height, but we used a slider to make it, right?
Right. And you had to make the top be the bottom, remember? And it's going to be the same principle, I think, that you did there. I just got to remember how you did that and how, so it's always simple when you figure it out the first time. So, so we want to invert it. So let's say if 63, if 63, we want that to be so much distance from the max, right? So that's what is that, 37? That's 37 points from the max if you went to 100. And 60, if Kurt had 63, or the left side was 63, we would want that to be 37 points from the minimum, right? So we would want that to be showing that. So whatever side's better, we would want to show. So if the left side is going to be, we're going to be offset from the minimum. Right side, it's going to be offset from the maximum. What's that tell us?
So I was thinking like for this slider, it would be 0 to 100.
Yep.
So we can take these values and figure out the difference or something. Where should this little circle be within this slider based on 0 to 100?
Right. Exactly right. And that's what I'm trying to say in that is that, so we've got two sides here. You got a left side and a right side. You got Darren and Kurt sitting here. Darren's on the left, Kurt's on the right. So two numbers, 63 and 60. The one that's going to be determined, the highest number is going to be the side that we work from, left or right, which would be plus or minus in this case, right?
50 is right in the middle. So we'll need to know that 50 is right in the middle. So if I clicked on it 4 times, I'd have 2 wins. You'd have 2 wins. So on a scale from 0 to 100, where in that, well, that would be right at 50 because I've got 2 wins. You got 2 wins.
Now you're going down a different road. I like your road. I like what you're doing.
So it's like in algebra, like you have a ratio, right?
Yep.
And I'm looking for something to sort of draw. I sort of want to draw this on the screen. I can't be doing on a piece of paper here. I need to.
We're gonna plus or minus the axis. That's all the thing we got to figure out on the left side.
So in a ratio, let's say well, 1 to 100.
We're figuring this out in the middle of a live stream. This is
equals. I know. And I was trying to do it while you're having all your problems. And I'm like, guys, you don't want to see me just sitting here thinking about this. But now that you're on here, it makes the process a little more interesting,
Okay. Okay.
But you know how in algebra you've got a fraction, right? 1 out of 100. And then over here on the side, you've got some unknown value, right? So we'll say times clicked. We will know that number. So what I want to know is X. Now, how do we do this in algebra? So we've got 1.
I got to think about this one. Oh my goodness.
And I'm doing this in Notepad.
That's great.
So
come on, guys, help us out here.
X.
Let's go, math
and
wizard.
then down here, I've got times clicked. And we will know that. Okay. So I'm going to do something like this. Okay. So this is our algebra problem. Now, how do you solve for X? Okay. Well, you take 1 times clicked.
Yeah.
And then, okay, this is supposed to be a line, a division line. That. Okay. So, and you go do crisscross pattern, right? 1 times, and then we have X times 100.
I'm still stuck on this X over times clicked. Are you sure that's what we're wanting? Pretty sure. Okay. I'm going to go along with it. I think
so. All right. Let's say we do the times clicked. If I can get my cursor down here, let's just say it's 3. Okay. So 1 times 3 is 3. Okay. And then what is my brain isn't working, man. I'm just gonna have ChatGPT do it.
Hey,
in math class, when I was a kid, you need to learn this stuff for real, because you're never gonna have a calculator sitting at your desk. You never walk around with a calculator in your pocket all the time, but yet we have smartphones that do have that. So I'm gonna tell ChatGPT here to solve for X.
I like it. I just want to know how you're going to tell ChatGPT to do this. That's going to be interesting in itself.
Or I could just tell it what I'm trying to do, and it'll probably just tell me. Okay.
Yep.
So I've got 3 divided by X 100. But I'm sure I'm not thinking about it right.
Something seems
you
wrong.
You rearrange the equation.
3x.
Wow, look at it go.
3 equals 100. 3 over 100.
To do this in a ratio way. Let's see if it helps me out a little bit. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, Chatty.
It is. I see this now.
Man, look at this thing go. So, guys, if you like solving problems like this, you'll love coding. I sort of like, it's a challenge, right?
Golly.
Yeah. So it multiplies, and then it has this thing here. Okay. Now let's go back to our screen. I don't know if I'm thinking about this right.
My approach, I thought, was going to be easier, but you just had to figure out which side to go the negative way on it. So
let's do your way first. Okay. And then, since you have more of an idea where you're going,
maybe I do. I'm not sure. We might end up stuck in the same spot. I'm looking at, you got 2 sides. You got a 0 side and a 100 side. You've got 2 sides. You got a left side and a right side. The left
Okay.
side is going to be the 0 side. The right side is going to be the 100 side. If you look at your code right there, 63 are at the numbers. You got 63 and 60. 63 is 37 points away from 100. So you're plotting 36. This is the offset from 100 or the offset from 0. So if it's the left side, if it's the right side, you're going to go you're going to say 100 minus the location there. So it'd be 30. You want 37. 100 minus 37. And then if it's the left side, you would want 100. If it was 63 on the left side, you would want 0 plus 37. Does that make sense?
So what do you want me to? What do you want me to type?
I'm not. I'm not. Okay. I'm not sure yet. I'm getting the problem out there first. Okay.
All right. Can you start from 50? This is from Mr. Patel. Can you start from 50 on a scale from 0 to 100? That's what I was trying to. If Darren is selected, you subtract 1 or higher from 50. Kurt selected.
Right. And you guys are offsetting. You guys are offsetting from the middle. That's where I thought you were going, Darren.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue with your thought process. So are you able to repeat what you said? So I'm trying to wrap my mind around what you just said.
Okay, so we got two sides, 63 and 60. If you just look at the two equations, right? Two values.
That's right.
If the right side is 63, the right side would be offset from 100, right? So if you look at 100 minus 63 is 37 points. So we would want to put our slider position 37 points away from the max. Okay. If it was the left side, we would want to be 37 points from the 0, from the minimum. We'd want to go up 37 points. So we know that 37 is the value. We just have to determine, is it from the minimum or from the max? So you're either adding from 0 or you're subtracting from the max. An absolute value. So you get the absolute value, and then we've got to figure out which side is the left and which side is the right then.
Okay. So I have a label here, and we can do an output, and that will be the default value of this slider. Okay. So you want to the 60 and the 63. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this label because it's driving me nuts because we're looking at it in code.
Yeah.
I'll say label person 1. And then over here, I'm going to say person 2. Okay.
Let's further name that. Let's name that again, Darren. Let's call it label left and label right. Label person left, person right, right?
Okay. Left.
And the left is going to be minus, because we're looking at this in a slider, a value position.
Right. Let's write some code. Let's do
so
it.
Now all we've got to do now is we find out who wins, which side is the greater side.
Uh-huh.
And if it's right, then we're going to grab an absolute value, ABS, of that, the distance between 100 and, oh boy, if it's person right.
You said if it's less than.
That's right. Okay, so then you're going to say person. You're going to need the value between the distance between 100, the max, which is 100, minus that value.
Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say this 100 minus that. Is that what you want to see there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We might need to put that in a variable, but let's just keep it there for now. Else.
Okay, so I think I know where you're going with this. So we could just call that. We could do a with block. Okay, man, this is a coding session. We're gonna. I mean, if you're a coder, you're gonna be using with. You're gonna be doing all kinds of cool stuff here, right? We'll do this. We'll do that. Okay, and then we'll go to the end, and we'll create something up here in the with block called the wiener. The wiener is Oh, this is where we can use max.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Out of those two, who's the max?
I like it.
I'm just going to copy this thing here between these two things. We're not going to use a less than. We're going to say comma. Right? So max should be able to take values and tell and return the one that is larger.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Man, it's really complaining about me.
It's angry.
Complaining about my code.
It's very angry.
It's very angry. Okay. What is the deal here? Cannot use min values in this context.
What needs numbers, huh?
Well, we're using
Yeah, we're using numbers. Yeah.
value that should give us numbers. Okay, maybe we're not allowed to use max or min inside of a with block. Is that what's going on? So if I said, if I just take this max out just for a moment here, and I were just to add these values together. So we got numeric values. It still doesn't like it. Okay. So we know that's not it. So whenever you're debugging problems with this, guys, you've got an error and you're trying to do some troubleshooting. What you need to do is come up with, you need to consolidate the thing here. So if I say winner, okay, so I have a with block on a label and I'm returning that. In comment item, the block has no in comment identifier. Okay, I must not be doing my with block right.
It looked good to me. It looked good to me.
Thought so too, man. What am I doing wrong here?
Now that isn't right, right?
What did I do wrong in my with block?
Okay, so you got that winner on the after the comma, the second winner. That shouldn't be there, should it? So it should be
plus 10.
that. Okay, now that should work.
So I'm going to take that out.
Looks good.
And it's giving me 15. Okay. It's giving me an error on my comment. I'm like, come on, dude. Like what? Oh, you know what it is.
Don't have a slash on it. Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Okay, so let's go back to your min and max because I think that's going to be okay.
Okay.
I don't know why it shouldn't be.
Okay. So I'm going to take that and we'll add these. I'm going to add them together, make sure that we're okay there, and then we'll do the max. Okay. Max. We'll pass 2 parameters in the max, and it should give us whatever the maximum value is. Of course, I need an ending parenthesis there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is this working right? I have a 63. And that's right, Kurt, you're winning and it's giving me 63. Okay. So at least we know that. So what we're trying to do down here is you want to take, trying to get your math here. So you want to say 100 minus the winner, the winner number.
Well, that's a conditional number because it's going to either be a 100 minus or 0 plus the winner number, depending on which one won.
Repeat that.
Okay. Let's see if I can. So it's either depending on which one won, it's either going to be 100 minus the winning number or 0 plus the winning number. Because it's offset. We don't know which side we're going on.
Okay. So should we do an absolute function here?
The winning number should be absolute.
Okay.
it's the offset that we got to determine. The x-axis, it's either going to be plus or minus. If it's the left side, it's going to be a minus, or I'm sorry, it's going to be a plus.
Okay.
You're going to add from 0. If it's the right side, you're going to subtract from 100.
Okay. So just based on what you're saying, I'm gonna put an absolute function around here. Okay. What do we have? We have a 37. Now, is that the offset you were talking about? Is that what you're really looking for?
That's the offset. Yeah. And you got that already established with the winner, right? How many that is from 100? If we go back to your code and your with block, I think you've already got that. You don't need an ABS around that, I don't think.
Okay.
Because it's just giving you the. No, you're right. You're right, Darren. I'm sorry. I screwed you up. Yep, that's right. So we got an ABS of that. Then we're going to take, we need to know if we're going to add or subtract it. So if it's person 1, we're going to add it from 0. If it's person 2, we're going to subtract it from 100. And there you have it.
All right. So you want an if statement in here.
Yep. Now, I don't know. You guys out there are going to come up with a way slicker way of doing this than I did. This is me off the top of the head on a Saturday morning.
You know what that's called, Kurt? Refactoring. Refactoring is all a part of the game. Guys, your very first thought, your very first solution to a problem, sometimes they say the first thing that comes to mind is usually the right answer. Right. Nope. If you're a developer in any way, it's the opposite. The first thing you come up with, maybe is usually your bug.
It's usually your bug.
Oh boy. So we have, who won there? But let's but you want to know. Okay, I'm zoomed in way too much. So I need to do one more here and do a Control-0. Okay. So you said depending upon who's winning, okay? So I want to know who that is. So instead of just having this, here, another thing here.
Right. Who's got the most? Who's got the most wins? Right. So we need to know the ultimate rock star in the moment.
So should we do a max on this? We probably need to do a dot. I think we had something here that did that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Didn't we do like a count rows? We found out who was the. You could do count rows, right, on a filter.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do something like this. Okay. If, come on, give me. If this is greater than this, the person who won.
Yeah, look at you. You're doing it.
This.
I like it.
Otherwise, do that. Right? Nothing's ever easy, Kurt, is it? Like, what is going on here? Did I? What's going on? My FX win.
You got to put it in a value. Amber said you got to put it in a value. I think that might be right, Amber.
That Amber guy is really smart.
Well, he's been going
Or
to
he's
school.
got some good instructors. Nope,
He's
that's
been,
not it.
he's been, no, that wasn't. Oh, no good, Amber.
Well, I'll make this simple. Okay, so here's the left value. Okay, boom dot text. Now here we'll have to do a value, right? What is going on? That was weird.
We almost have it.
Real person 2 right. It still doesn't like it. Now,
Okay, so
what is going on?
You got something going wrong here. Okay,
I think I have another too many.
You got another comment in there. Okay, you got else.
Coding's hard work, Kurt. This is hard work.
What are you doing here? You got a true part and then you got a false part. Okay, it is. It's hard.
So if the one on the left is greater, then we're going to return them. Otherwise, it's going to be the second person. And that thing, so you've won the most. But if I keep clicking on this and pass you up, man, that's hard to pass you up, man.
It is. I'm going to make you work for it, bud.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be Kurt. Unless I just click on it so many times. Okay, so now we have that. LB who's won most. Copy that. I'm going to go over here. And so what you're saying here is what do you want to do here? This is your code, man. Talk me through what you want me to do.
The whole thing is that if it's the left side, you've got to subtract. If it's the left side, you got to add. If it's the right side, you got to subtract. So we got to determine on. We've got to know if it's a left or a right thing, if it's a plus or a minus.
Okay.
So we are trying to stick this. First of all, we are trying to put something in a slider, right? A value in a slider,
right?
So the slider default is going to be this. You're just going to do an if condition in there, and you're going to say if it's a left number, we need to have a flag set determining if it's left or right. Okay.
I just got you there by doing this check right here. If whoever's won is on the left, that's who's won. The guy on the left.
Yep. There it is. Yep. You're right. Thank you. So whose one is going to be, we've got that's a text though. That's going to be the person's name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like it. This is what I want to do. I want to put that into a number.
All right.
So what I want to do is I want to say, if it equals that equal right there, if that comes out to be true, I want that to be -1. I want to assign -1 to that.
Okay. Okay, you want to say -1 here. Otherwise, you want it to be what?
1.
Okay.
That's going to be determine whether or not I am adding or subtracting, because I'm going to be adding from 0, or I'm going to be subtracting, adding times -1. So this is so hard to do. It's so hard to do with me trying to tell you to do it. Okay, so because it's not.
Look, it worked. Now, if I catch up to you, it should be a -1, right?
I think so.
And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button here for clear. Okay. And in the on select, I'm going to say clear on that collection. Call responses. Semicolon. So I'm going to hit that button. Who's Rockstar? Okay. So we have 2 items. Okay. 1 and 1.
We're in the middle.
I'm going to hit it one more time. So we have 3. So we definitely know we don't have a tie, right?
Yep.
So there we go. So you said, boom. So if the person who's won the most is the person on the left, okay, left winner, and this is the right winner,
Yep.
right?
Now, we're always going to be adding, either if it's from 100 or from 0. We just got to figure out if it's going to go from 100 or 0. So, so if it's from the left is going to be, if it's person left, I think I got that backwards, Darren. I think person right, because we're going to be subtracting from 100. If it's person right, we're going to be adding from person left. So I think I've got that. So change that person left to person right up there.
Okay.
Not there.
Where?
Not there. In that if for the -1.
Okay.
You understand where I'm getting at with that -1?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to times that absolute value that we've got. Well, we had an absolute value.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, so
I'm going to times that absolute value by -1, and I'm going to add that absolute value to 100 if it's negative. Okay. So it'll be -37. I'm going to subtract it.
Okay. So
it's going to be times -1 or times or times 1. That I was actually thinking I was going to put that in a variable and times it by a variable name, but
okay.
I don't need to. Times 1 else. Okay. If
got 98. Now, does that make sense? We've got 3 votes. Darren's got 2 votes. Kurt has 1. So it's 2v1.
Yeah, 98.
We have a
offset.
98.
You're going to be offset. But so I want to offset from, because Darren won though, I need to subtract, or I'm sorry, I need to add that 98. So it should be all the way over. Do you see where I'm pointing my finger?
No.
It should be all the way over to the right. The max, it should be almost max, right? So it should be 0 plus 98. So it should be all the way over. So that's what I want to do. I want to add. So if Darren wins, I want to add.
Okay, so you want me to go back in here now?
So we've got that. So what are we doing here with this? If what are we doing here with you got these 2 absolutes? You got an if Darren won, you're going to take that absolute times -1. Yeah, and then okay, I got it. Go back there. Go back to the formula.
All right.
Okay. Now you're going to say after that -1, before the comma. There you go. You're going to say plus. Hold on. Plus 1 plus winner number. Winner number. No, that absolute value. So it's going to be that So that absolute. So what I'm wanting to do there is that absolute value minus the winning number times -1. I want to add that number from 0 if it's on the left side.
Add 0.
No, add it from 0.
Okay, what does that mean? Add from 0. What does that mean?
So in other words, I'm at 0. This is an offset from 0. So it's going to be 0 plus that winning number. So it'll be that winning number. I guess it'll just be that winning number, right? That's right. It'll just be that winning number. The right side is going to be a subtraction. And I said that exactly. We've got that exactly backwards, don't we? I don't know. The right side is going to be a subtraction from 100. So I needed plus that winning number. So that we need the -1 on that one, the right side winner.
Okay. What line of code do you do you want me to modify this line of code?
All right. So the right winners. You see where it says right winner in your comment? That's what I was referring to. I want that to be -1.
You want that to be -1.
I want that to be -1. Make that a -1. And then change that up. Yeah.
Okay.
So the right side is going to be 100 minus that. So we're going to the front of the ABS, go to the front of that line and put 100 minus that.
Okay.
That code right there should, if you put that in your default of that it should work.
Okay. So I'm going to go over here to default and I'm going to put this in there, dot text. Of course, we need to make it a value. Okay. So we've got 198.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that.
Okay.
So if I take 100 minus, if I take
You want to see the
100
screen of the code?
of the code. If I take 100 minus the winning number, that's going to give me the absolute value, right? So if I take, so it's going to give me the offset. So if I take 100 minus the winning number,
okay,
most one text equals text. ABS 100 minus the winning number. So let's say if you've got, at this point, it'd be 100 minus 2. 100 minus 2 should be 98. Times 1 should be a positive 98, right?
I don't know.
Look at the left winner equation, okay?
Okay.
Now think this with me, man. Okay, if I've got 100 minus the winning number, if I've got 2, 100 minus 2 is 98, right?
Right.
Times that by 1, that's positive 98.
Uh-huh.
So that should be it should go all the way over to the right.
It should be 98.
There
But
should
if
be
not,
there should be no 198. So if I say 100 minus the 98. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I'm sorry, bro. Look. Times 90.
What?
100 minus. It's going to be 100 plus. There it is. Okay. Take that minus 100 minus, make that 100 plus.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I screwed that up. Not that one. Not that one. The one below, the right side winner one.
Okay, you want to do a plus here.
Oh my goodness. No, Darren, look, man. Okay, so go up to the left winner.
Okay.
I don't want that. I just want that right there. That's 100 plus the winning number times 1. That's going to be perfect.
Okay.
Now, the one below that,
okay,
right winner, I want that to be 100 plus ABS, not minus ABS.
All right. You want to see the results?
Well, no, we're not done yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to see what the result is as we're coding. So I put it right here in the lower left corner.
This 100 plus winning number is never going to be, it's going to be 100 minus that winning number up there. So you change that to that left side, left winner.
Okay, left winner.
That 100 minus winning number, that's what I want right there. I want that to be a 100 minus winning number.
Okay, you want a minus here.
Yes. That's what we started with. Somehow you turned that into a plus on me. I didn't know. Okay, now the one below that is going to be the same thing, 100 minus winning number.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if I look at that code, 100 minus the winning number, that's going to be 2. That should be 98. That should be right. Let's go. Let's run this.
Well, that's always going to give us the winning number, right?
It should. It should never be a 198 or anything like that. It should be.
Okay. So I have 3 votes. You have 1.
And we're looking at the top slider, right?
Yeah. See,
okay,
that's 3.
That's offset from 3. That's perfect. Now let's go. Let's keep running here. Let's get to where Kurt's winning. Because Kurt needs to win. Okay, so something's still not right here with that default.
So this is 3.
We need to reset. We need to reset that slider, bro. Do you think?
Well, I think it's moving. So it says 5.
Right.
This says 5.
But it's not changing. If you go down to the code, it's not doing the else because we're doing something very different in there.
Okay. So what do you want me to do?
I want you to go to the code.
Okay. Let's do that. Yeah, coding
It should be.
while
Now,
other people are watching or talking and then going live.
where are you putting this code at? That code should be in the default of the slider, right?
No. So what I do in the default is
Oh.
I look at that label.
Okay. Okay. So we've got 5. So what's happening here? So our if condition up here is not working very well, or the max, one of the two, because it's never changing back over to the right side. So right there, you've got a true statement. If who's one dot text equals the left,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to do a certain thing. Otherwise, it should be doing a plus. We should be doing it. We should be taking it 100. We should be going from the 100.
And maybe this thing, this 100, shouldn't be 100. It should be the amount of times it was clicked on, right?
No, because you want the max to be the total. You want the max to be the most, so we're offsetting from it, right?
Okay. All right.
Unless maybe I'm doing the same thing. Am I doing the same thing down there on that second one? If I say 100 plus, go through that code with me right there. ABS 100 minus winning number. Right now, what's that going to give us? What's 100 minus winning number right now?
Okay. I am. So you're interested in just that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
What's that number?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over a label and I'm going to show you.
Okay. I was just wanting to step through the code with you.
Okay. All right. Of course, this label doesn't have the with block. So let me do something like this, and I'll go over here, and I'll do that. And then this is all you want to see here. Okay. 95 is what we have.
Okay. So we're taking 95 and it's saying that Kurt won. So it should be 95. So we say, oh, so let's go down to the code. I think I see what we're doing wrong. Let's go back to the code.
Okay.
So we're taking, if it's the left side, it would be 100 minus 95, right? It's saying 95. It's saying Kurt is the right side. So the winning number is 95 right now. 100 minus 95. I don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't know.
And that's fine. And what I was about to say a few moments ago is this might look really easy to everybody because I see the comments going crazy. Oh, you should do this. You should do this. And it's not.
Well, my thing is I just can't think with the moving around stuff. I just have a hard time with it. If you're not in control of the mouse, it's really hard. It's like I'm like, okay. And that, like, I don't know. It's like I guess I'm asking you to kind of think through it with me to make sure that I'm not on the wrong track here, because I think I'm on the right track. I just doing one thing wrong.
And I'm trying to help you out. I have to do things in order to think about it right. Okay. So inside this code, the left winner. Okay. We got that 100 plus ABS winning winner. And then here we've got the minus. Okay. Now, did I do that right? The 100 plus.
Oh, you know what?
I think it's opposite.
Can we go back to my code again?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Okay, so you got ABS. This one is ABS, and then this one is the 100. Okay.
All right. I think maybe it's a parenthesis issue here. Okay. So the right winner, I want that right winner to be, in this case, I want 2 to go away from it, right? So 100 minus.
I'm sorry, I just gonna move this around so we can actually see these two, and then put this one here. This is the winner. Okay, there we go.
So this winning number, this ABS winning number computation, there's something wrong with it in my mind. If I'm on the right side, I'm trying to subtract. I'm just trying to get an offset from the either the maximum or the minimum. That's all I'm trying to get here. That's all I want. Okay. So if I'm looking at an absolute 100 minus the winning number, if my winning number is 2, so it should be 98 if it's on the right side. Right?
I don't know.
You don't know? So what would it be? What would you? Okay, so if my winning number is 2, my ABS would be 98 there. 100 minus 2, right? Would be 98.
I don't know what you mean when you say the winning number is 2. So you're talking about up here for this variable? That's 2.
If Kurt has 2 wins and Darren has 1, if the person on the maximum is 2, that's the point I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Yeah. So if this is, let's just use the scenario. This is 2, and this is 1. Okay, the winning number is going to be 2, but it's not the maximum amount or the count.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to walk through a spot in here to see if this code's going to work on the right side. So if Darren has 2 wins and Kurt has 1, or actually if Kurt, we're on the left side. So the left side is the winner.
Why doesn't it give me my collections? Here's my collection. And say count. I think I actually have a function for this. FX total tries. Okay. And then of course we need that, and that will give us total tries.
I knew this wasn't going to be easy.
Kurt, what I was thinking was, what are we going to talk about on a live stream? This is how you do a user-defined function. We could probably cover that in 10 minutes, but that's not what people come here for. They want to see what the coding experience is like in Power Apps, in the Power FX language. And this is real world, is it not?
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff. If you and I were sitting, we worked at the same place, we're working in an office together, this is exactly what this is going to look like, guys. This is the real world. This is what people compliment us on. Anyhow, I think I might have messed you up by doing this. You had a thought process.
Yeah, I just wanted to walk through the code with you. It's bouncing around so much I can't even concentrate right now. So just letting you go ahead and do what you're doing.
What I needed to do, well, you kept on saying right, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it's right or not, Kurt. I don't know. So
what I'm saying is,
you said, hold on. You said if the left guy has 2, the right guy has 1, we have a total of 3. That's what I needed to work out in my brain. Okay, so when you said right, your question was when the winning number would be 2 based on this scenario here, then you had like a question. And so I was trying to.
Okay, so can we go back to what I was wanting to do here?
Absolutely.
So we got this left winner line. You see where you got your commented out left winner line?
Yes, right here.
Yeah. So I wanted you to step through this code with me right here. And let's assume the winning number, this winner number variable is 2. Okay. Right. So if I have 100 minus 2, that should be 98, right?
Yeah.
That was what I was asking. That was my question. Times 1 would be 98, right? 100 minus 2.
But you said you said this line 100 minus 2. Okay.
That's 98, right?
Let's just work it out here. Is 98. Yes. That is true.
Okay, times 1 would be 98.
Yeah, you multiply anything by 1, you're going to get the same number.
So this equation, I guess I'm asking you to step through this with me to make sure that my thinking is correct.
All right.
So I've got 98 there. That's the value I want if the person who won the most is on the left side.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just don't know if that's going to be right because if it's on the left side, that would give me my value would be 98, which would be 2 away from 100.
Right.
I'm trying to invert. So on the right side, on the left side, no, that is right. I want 98. I want that to be 98 because the person on the left, I need that to be 100 minus the 98. Right? I need to be 100 minus 98 because I want that 2 to be the winner. I want that to be sitting over there at 2 on the scale, correct?
Okay. So the full question was, you said if you take 100 minus this number, is that what you said?
No, if I've got that number right there, that value, that 98 gives me the value of 98, right?
Okay. Right.
And I want that 98 to be placed. So I want that to be, I want in the end on the scale up there on the slider, the maximum is 100.
Okay.
If I subtract 98 from that, that will give me 2 if the person won on the left. And
Yes.
I want that to show a 2 because that means that the person on the left won.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right to you?
That would, I mean, that's always going to give you the
left side.
So here, I mean, it would be a 2 out of 100.
Yeah. Which that's, if you look at your top scale up there, your slider, it's sitting at about 2 right now. It's sitting at 5. But if we took that instead of a 2, we put a 5 there. That 5 would be offset, and see, you can clearly see that Darren's the winner now because the tug of war is Darren's got 5 wins versus Kurt. So on the slider scale, it would be going to your side. That seems like that works right there. The problem is that if right now Kurt has the 5, so I want that slider to be over there on the Kurt side.
All right. So let's use the real values, the 3 and the 5. Okay. So I'm going to say 3 and 5. And the count, of course, would be all of those added together, which would be 8, right? So if we go down in here, this would be 100 minus 3, which would be 97 times 1. That would give us a 97.
Well, hold on, Darren. The max it'd be 5, right? Because you got the winner number is going to be the highest between those two, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it would be 5, the person on the right.
Okay.
So it would be 100 minus 5.
Okay. So it'll give me 95.
Yep.
So you want that 95 to be that value there.
I want that 95. Yeah, I want that slider to go all the way up to 95. That's correct.
Okay. But I think what's going on is it's coming down here. Do we need to change any code down here at all?
I'm thinking that this is the code that needs to go down here. Yep, it needs to be there. So the condition is if who won text equals the person on the left, it's going to do the true, which would be the top one.
Mm-hmm.
So else we're doing the right side winner. We got that set up beautiful. Okay. So why are we not getting? So the problem is in that line of code right there, right there.
Okay. Yeah, because we're getting 5. We should be getting 95.
Exactly.
But we're getting 5.
What we want it to be 95, right? So we need to go for that winning number. 100 minus the winning number would be 5, right? We don't want to go win 100 minus the winning number, do we?
I'm going to add.
I got it, Darren.
You got it? All right.
I think so. I got it, bro. Let's go back to that code, man.
All right. So I just wanted to add another label here that's going to tell us if we're in the true part or the false part. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say 36.
Okay.
Here. Okay. So What's giving us the number 5 is the false part. So we know if we're
So-
not getting what we want, the problem is right there on that line of code.
So now we're just going to take winning number. Get rid of that ABS part down there on that second line. Just take winning number 100. Get rid of the ABS and then the 100 minus.
Okay.
And it's going to be 100 plus winning number times -1, which would be you need to you might need to put that left and right parenthesis around the winning number times -1.
Okay.
And that should.
That gives me 95. I think that's what you said you were looking for, that 95.
That's what I'm looking for. So let's go run the code and see what we get now.
Okay.
So now Kurt's the winner. Now keep clicking here and see what happens when we get Darren the winner. Come on, Darren, win something. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm gonna have to clear it. There we go. Now I'm the winner.
Yeah, but now it's going over there to the left side. It should be over here to the left side. So our condition's not seeming to work right. The max.
Now so Ben in the comments, he has said a lot, and I purposely wasn't going to read because I wanted you to finish out your line of thought. So he's got some ideas that might help us if you want to look at that, but if you don't want to look at it, because I think he's doing something completely different than what you're doing. So do you want to?
I want to continue what I'm doing here. I want to find out why is it not going to the left side? Why is it not showing? It's showing that Kurt's winning here. So why is that?
So it says false here. That means we're still over here in the false part.
It should be on the true there, shouldn't it?
Well, let's look at it. Who won the most is Darren. And look at this. The person on the left is Darren. Is that right? No, it says 1. It should be person 1. Yeah, maybe I messed you up with that, man. Okay, so we're looking at that. This is the true. It shows you how important naming your controls right are, right? That's why we name our controls, is to keep from, because we have a bug here. We're confused. It's not working right. And I was using the wrong control, Kurt.
Darren, you and I would have had this thing done in 5 minutes, man, if it wasn't for two people trying to interact. It's so hard. It's just so hard.
Or if we knew nobody was watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so
so now we've got 99. Is that what you wanted?
well, let's go see it. Let's see how it places it out there. Let's go see what happens here. So
There's only been one vote, and it was Darren.
Darren won. I want that to be all the way over to the 0. It should be the left side.
Okay. So how do we take 99 and make it?
Well, let's go look at our code
1.
and see how I did wrong. I thought I did it right. Let's go see what I was wrong. I should be right. 100. So we need to go 100 plus the winning. No. 100 minus winning number. What that would be 95 times 1. We just need to go winning number there. That's it.
Okay. What
We
do
just
you want this line of code to be modified right here?
I think that needs just to be winning number, doesn't it? Because we're just it's just it's just going to be the number of wins that you got. That's it.
Okay.
On the left side, left side, we started off with all this ABS crazy stuff. It's just so simple. It's just simple, guys. I think that might be right, Darren. That's all we want, right? Just if you want
101
you
there.
go 2 from there. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
So is this line of code fine?
It's so far it is. Let's go run this thing. Let's
Run
see.
it. All right. Let's do it.
Look at there.
Okay. We got 1 and 1. This is a tie.
It should be in the middle then.
Okay. But we have 99.
So we have
So
to
you want this thing to be 50 right now. We're in the
You
false site. So how do we make this 50?
right. Well, okay, so
let's get these numbers up here, right? So really, what are we working with? We're working with 1 and 1. Okay. So we'll go here, 1, 1, and we got 2 votes. Okay. So the winning number is 1. Okay. So with this thing, so what we have 100 plus the winning number is 1, and then we're making it negative. Okay. Isn't that right? So we have, okay, so 100 plus a negative 1 is 99. But what you said you wanted, how do we make this to be 50?
right. So now what we're going to do, now we're back to our proportion thing. and now we might be back to where I think somebody over there, maybe it was Ben, was starting at 50, and then we were going back and forth from the distance.
Yeah, I think part of the confusion in my head, the more moving parts, the easier I can get confused. Were we doing the tug of war, or are we doing something a little, different?
We ended up spending most of the live stream figuring out this tug of war.
I think our viewership likes this. So guys, go down in the comments below and let me know if you like this or not. If you're getting anything helpful out of this, a comment or even a like really helps the channel, and lets people like you know this is good content. Much appreciated. And people pay big money for this. So we're not done yet. So something that somebody said was the total amount of the total tries should be factored into our little equation down here.
I've got
I
maybe. I think it does. I think it has to.
Okay. So do we?
It's a percentage of the whole, right?
Right. So we've got a 99. How do we take 99 and make it 50?
So what we've got to do is we got to change. So we've got 1. Each person has 1.
Yep. It's a tie.
So you take the winning person and make it the number is going to have to be, you're going to divide that by the number of tries. So you would say you should get a percentage then. You would get a percentage, right? So let's say if you had a 50, if you had 5 out of 8, you would take 5 divided by the number of tries. 5, you won 5 times divided by 8 tries. If you had 8 divided by 8, it would be 1. That'd be 100%.
I think if we take the winning number, okay, so let me just try something out here. We take the winning number divided by total tries. That's going to give us
A percentage.
50%, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to take 50% and times that by 100.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do.
And then
That gives us 50.
do I do the times 100 down here? Oh, look at that. We got 50. That's what we were looking for, right?
We're looking for. We were so close there.
Is that it?
Let's go see.
All right. Vote one more time. Okay. Darren's got 2. You've got 1. Now this label just went crazy on us here. So
Right. Yeah. Almost. We got to do that times negative. We got to do some placement. It's a placement thing.
and I'm going to round this because it's giving me a decimal. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, it does not like that. It helps if you spell it right. Okay. So we got 2/3 is what's going on here.
Yep, and that's fine.
I think that works, man. Did we figure it out?
No, let's go. No, I saw something wrong. Play it some more.
You said
Click
play
on
it some more?
Yeah,
Or you wanna
play
go
it,
for it?
click on it some more. I think there's a problem here. See, it shouldn't be going to Kurt's side right there. It should be going to Darren's side. So it's just we're close, Darren. We just got to do this. That's where that times -1 comes into play, because we want that to be placed. That left side, we want that to be placed. If Darren won, you want it to be 75%. It should be 75% of that direction. So it really should be 25%. You see that we're inverting the number, right?
Mhm.
So we just needed to invert that equation. So 75, if you got 75%, you want it to be 25 points away from the 0.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
so get it done.
Oh, you want me to take it over now?
No, I'm teasing. We're almost there.
You said we need it.
Ben says this is where your 100 minus comes in. Yep. I knew I was close. I just had all the pieces not together. Okay, so we're getting there, man. So Darren's side would be the left side. So text person 1. So that needs to be what does that need to be, Darren? 100. Okay, so if we take 100 minus 75 would give us 25, right? 100 minus the number.
Okay, what's the number?
The number, Darren. The winning number.
Mark says my head hurts. That's what it's like to be a cooter.
It's so fun. This is a life with Kurt and Darren every day. We just do this. We're nuts. That's how come Darren can't stand me after 4 o'clock. Okay.
So what happens is being a software developer is a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster, psychological roller coaster.
Yeah.
Now, either you're watching this, you're really smart, and you're like, I figured it out in 10 minutes, and you guys are going on here for 2 hours on the same problem. Well, number one, you should, hopefully you feel smart. But I think for the most of us, it is a roller coaster. And then if you're not, if my wife called me like, Darren, dinner's ready, I'm like, okay, I'll go down there, and I'm in this really funked up emotional, psychological state because I didn't get resolution. And let's say if I went to sleep, right, it's midnight or whatever, it's your bedtime, you got to go to sleep. Well, number one, you're like, well, when you wake up, you might have figured out, maybe you had a dream or something. But when you figure it out, it's such a huge win.
Right.
So this is like, if we're working in an office, you go find your buddy. Hey, look at this with me. So this is sort of like what this looks like. And then we'll resolve it. Boom. All right. You want to solve it and then go to lunch. Like me and Kurt, we'll go out and get some General's chicken from our favorite Chinese place, and we'll have a great lunch. But if we went to lunch right now, we would not have a good time. Would we?
No, we'd be having a blast. We'd be having fun. Okay. So this winner number, let's get back to the point here, because I don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
So we're almost there, I think. So we got the bottom side, the right side's working, I think, right? It's that left side. We need to invert that number. So if for instance, Darren wins 75% of the time, 3-1, then we want that to be 25. The difference set from 100 minus the 75 would be 25. We want that to show up on the top one, the left winner.
Okay, so the first thing that you said is one of these two is working right. Is it the true side here, or is it the false side? Which one are you talking about?
I feel like the right winner is working.
Okay. The right winner. Okay, so this one right here.
Yeah, I'm focusing on your comment right there because I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to work on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, repeat what you said.
Okay, so what we wanted to do is right now in this state at this moment, Darren has won 75% of the time. 3 wins to 1 win. So he's got a 75%. So we've got that calculation right, I think. 3 divided by 4 should give us 0.75. winner number divided by total tries.
So we got 3, 1.
Yep.
So I'm going to say 3 here. Total amount is 4. Okay. So, and we are on the true side. So winner number is 3. Total tries is 4.
That should give us 0.75.
And then we multiply by 100 and got 75.
Right. But what we need to do is we need to subtract that. Once you're done with that equation, we need to subtract that from
What?
From 100.
Okay. So now we got 25.
Let's try it. Let's see. I'm almost afraid.
Okay. So we got
Okay.
25.
Let's clicky here. Let's see what goes on.
Okay.
We need to keep clicking so Kurt can be the winner here.
Okay.
It seems like it's working.
Just
So
let me click.
boy, you just keep getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, it's working. It's moving good, man. Because it's actually in proportion too. This was great, you guys out there. You guys were geniuses getting us to this point. Look at that. What we almost were at even. You had us at even for a moment.
Yeah.
Get us to where we're tied. Oh my goodness, look at you.
Well, I got to clear it and click. Hopefully twice.
Yeah.
You can't divide by 0, Kurt.
Yeah, I knew that. Okay, there
Okay.
it is. Look at that.
There we go.
We're
There
in
we
the center. We are in the center. We finished it.
Shoo. Are you sure this is
Well, keep
is
clicking.
this what
Let's
we
see,
wanted?
let's
Huh?
see Kurt win. Let's see Kurt winning here. Let's make sure the right side's going. Uh-oh.
Okay, you're winning it right there.
Yeah, but I went to the left. Keep going. Keep clicking, bud.
Well, can we figure out why it's with these numbers, why it's not doing what we want it to do?
Okay.
So we got 2, 3, and 5. So let's click on this. So we have 2, 3, and 5. And we've got 40. Now, is this right? Is this what we wanted?
I think so. We are 4/5. Kurt would be 4/5 of the time winning, I think. Or 3/5. It's round. We're rounding though. Okay, so but the problem is we should be on the right side of that thing, not on the left.
Okay. So instead of this number being 40, it should be 100 minus 40.
Yep. What did we do? So, and the reason why I did it this way, maybe I've got a parenthesis issue here going on. I think I do, Darren.
Okay.
Because you want that to be 100 plus. So that -1, that times -1 should go on the outside of that whole thing. We're on the right side winner, which is the bottom line, the one you're on. 100, that times -1 should go apart from that division.
Okay.
So get that division in there first.
So do you want me to move this parenthesis?
I do. I want you to
Here?
get that. I want that parenthesis to be on the right side of that 100 over there.
Oh, okay, right
I
here.
don't know
All
if
right.
that. Yeah, is that what I want, Darren? Maybe you were right. Maybe I need that on the other side.
Okay.
You might be right about that, bud.
But we still have 40.
100.
So really what we're looking for is 100 minus all of this. That will give us 60.
That's what I want.
So let's click on it a few more times.
Ooh, I think we're close. I think you solved it, Darren, there at the end. I think that last little bump is what we needed. That's what Darren does. Darren gets me across the finish line. Look at that.
Okay, we have a tie, and it's at 50.
Yep. Now go to Darren. Come on. Let's see Darren win. Look at that. Woo! It's working,
Now, 5 out of 4.
Mm-hmm. That's about right. Four. Well, that should be 8. Yeah, but that's right, though. You want it to be 40% away. So
we are doing the tug of war thing.
we are.
So because I'm winning slightly. I should
Yep.
be just slightly
Yep.
to the left of the 50.
Yep.
I'm
It's
gonna
working.
clear it and hit it once.
You can't divide by 0, Darren.
So Kurt's winning 100%.
This is working.
Is that true?
Of course.
Now we got a tie. It's right in the middle. Hit it one more time. Kurt's winning.
Look at this.
Dude, I think we did it. I think we did it.
I think we did too. What do
Oh
you
my
guys think?
goodness.
You guys think we did this?
We're at 50%. Let's get Kurt's winning now. 60%. Now we're at a tie again. Now Kurt's winning again. I think it's partial to you, man.
It is.
4 to 4.
It's because I'm old. It's because I'm older and have more insurance.
Chew.
And remember, people pay big money for this. You guys are funny.
For the price of a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You can recover Kurt from his. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can recover Kurt and Darren's app.
Hey, this is fun though. So what did we solve here? I mean, this was Amber's fault. By the way, I just want to put that out there. This is Amber's fault because he said something about, well, we could do a tug of war. That just got us all on like we're like a bunch of dogs chasing squirrels now. What a ride, he says. AAA says, what a ride. Mark says, my head hurts. Ben just gives us a
hurts too. Amber, you're welcome to come on and share your video if you want to give your thoughts on this.
You can defend yourself, Amber, if you want to.
Okay. Oh, here he is.
Hey, Amber, this was your fault, bud. You started this.
Well, my initial plan was to have 2 sliders, but then and then I was like, okay, yeah, tug of war can work too. I had both of them in mind.
Oh, so this was my fault because I said we should do it in one. Yeah. This is good stuff, guys.
This is cool stuff.
I mean, what we did here is we talked a little bit about the functions, which is what we wanted to do, and we got into some real programming stuff. And again, you guys, this would not be as hard if you're, just sitting here by yourself. Some of you guys probably sat out there on the side going, had that solution done within 2 minutes, So, but I think you did a good job on this one, Darren.
Thanks. Well, I wanted to touch base on our personal pocket coaching.
Absolutely,
because we actually go into this stuff here. Creating a variable watch box. Now you got some math type of stuff. You had a challenge in here. So on some of these, you actually do some of that, right? You got string reversal. That was a cool little exercise in personal pocket coaching.
Yeah.
And so these are bite-sized, or shall I say pocket-sized little lessons or challenges every day of the year. If you want to know more about it, what you want to do is go in here and you actually get the Ultimate Jumpstart Kit as a bonus, which I sell for $250. The full ticketing system course, which I sell for $500. You get a tutoring session with me and Kurt. That's $1,000 value, and you get a video every day of the year. And because prices change, I'm not going to mention the price. Go over there in the community, click on the payment link, and you could get the daily dose of Darren and Kurt every day.
So really what I guess I just want to just say one more time, I sound like a broken record, or maybe to Darren it's probably Chinese water torture, but I think that this is a great reference, guys. I can't say this enough. That personal pocket coaching is a great reference library because these things are going to be labeled. They're going to be concise as we know how to make them. And you're getting right to it. So imagine doing this big exercise we had. If we could have put this into a PPC, this would have been done in 5 minutes. It's like, this is how you do this,
Yeah.
So in fact, I think either me or you or both of us should probably do a slider or this exact exercise in a PPC. Just so
And I'm gonna have to end it right here. Hold on. For some reason, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video next. Let's see if they're right. Or you can select this playlist, which I've